Some of the content of Patriots Unfiltered may not be suitable for all audiences. Listener discretion is advised.
The world's original podcast.
Welcome to Patriots Unfiltered.
I don't think people gave enough credence to just how bad the defense was last year. I mean, it was like the bane of my existence at times watching the film back. You know, they're going out and they're adding guys that, I'm sorry, you're not going to draft them to your fantasy team. This is real football, right? Like, this is where the game is won and lost.
That's what the ball knowers say.
And I didn't want to, put my nose up.
Who are you getting in the fourth pick that's going to be better than A.J. Brown?
Right now?
No,
No,
two
next year.
It concerns me that Kyle doesn't see him as a viable player
Kyle.
anymore.
It concerns me that Kyle doesn't see him the way I do. This is not a small statement. That was the worst offensive line I've ever seen that day that they played the Patriots last year. That was the worst offensive line performance I've ever seen.
Brendan Schooler was doing his
That's
thing.
part of my reasoning here.
Thank you, Fred.
They couldn't even block the gunner. That's the worst offensive line performance I've ever seen.
I just lob him up and he hits him
I
out.
just knock him out of the park. That's what I do.
Like, there's nobody that knows fullbacks better than that guy.
Kyle.
So
No one that's lost more big games than that guy.
Oh,
so if he says he's cooked,
like you and Bart just have to take shots at my guy for no reason.
So my problem
there's
was
a reason. It bothers
My
you. That's
problem-
the reason.
This is Patriots Unfiltered.
Presented by Toyota's official website for deals, buyatoyota.com.
All right, welcome to Patriots Unfiltered. It is a big Thursday here at Gillette Stadium. Right off the bat, I just want to let everyone know what's going on. Obviously, this show. At 1 o'clock, we'll have a live press conference from the GP Atrium here at Gillette Stadium. It'll be Robert Kraft, Mike Vrabel, Elliott Wolf, and all the free agents that are around today. They'll be coming up to the podium. So we'll go to that live at 1 o'clock. When it's done, we'll come back to the show, and we'll just keep going. We'll have reactions, so look forward to us going beyond 2 o'clock today. And who knows, maybe we'll have a guest. Oh. You never know. Maybe somebody will stop by today. I don't know. That'd be fun. But it's a big show. So very exciting, but also breaking news this morning. Bittersweet news. I guess there's nothing sweet about it. But I guess, yeah, you could say it's bittersweet. I mean, he had a great career. David Andrews has been released by the Patriots. What's the next step for him? I don't know for sure. Don't know what he's thinking. But he has been released by the Patriots. So reaction. It's Evan. It's Paul. It's Deuce. It's Alex. It's Matt in the booth.
The reaction, I think, is just, I think there are certain guys that just embody what the Patriots kind of have stood for, and being an undrafted free agent, coming here, getting a starting job, being a part of 2 Super Bowl teams. I wrote up a little thing about him. I found a quote from Bill Belichick a couple years ago just praising him for his toughness, his leadership, and that's just been a consistent theme for the whole time I've been here in the locker room, hearing guys talk about David Andrews missed most of last year, had health concerns. I mean, I remember him saying, I hope that the surgery gives me a chance to play. So I don't know how much the injury's playing into that as well, but he's, you just have to tip your cap to him. He gave everything he could to this organization. It's sad that it's ending, but he's been just a legendary leader here, for this team and meant so much. So it's sad, but you got to praise his career because he did a lot.
Great story, and I thought Devin McCourty tweeted about it a little earlier when he found out the news. Played every snap of that preseason.
Yeah.
Back in whatever it was, 15? Is that his rookie year?
Yep.
And that's how he made the team and carved out a role and, emerged as the starting center for a long time. Undersized guy, at times, had trouble with some of the bigger, more talented interior defensive linemen. Quinnen Williams with the Jets was one.
Who doesn't?
But, yeah, who exactly. And just competed, throughout his career. And I think Mike is right about, there's captains and there's leaders, but I think David Andrews is a little different in that regard. I think he was, at a special level, like a Matthew Slater almost, in terms of leadership. So they'll miss him, I think, a lot more off the field at this stage of his career. And I'm a little surprised they didn't give him an opportunity to show that maybe he could still be a viable option at center. But if it's a pure football thing, I'm not going to sit here and, curl up in the fetal position in the corner and say, what did they do to David Andrews? I think they're going to miss a lot more than just the football, though.
Yeah. If I just say one more thing, how many guys can go from being an undrafted rookie to a captain, in their second season? I mean, it's a kind of unheard of, and that speaks to how special he was.
Yep.
Yeah, perfect offensive lineman. Like just exactly when you think of that position, leadership, toughness, sets a tone. It's one of those guys that always would, he would have the quarterback's back. Like someone hits the quarterback late, first one in there is
Old
60.
school.
Yeah, just an old school, hard nosed guy. Not a ton of those types of guys left. So
Has he
he's gonna
said
be missed.
anything?
He hasn't. He has that podcast now with Brian Hoyer.
Yeah.
I think they were kind of teasing on Twitter that maybe they were going to do a show about it. So I think that that's coming potentially, but it's a tough spot to be in for the team because I do think he was starting to show some decline in his play even before the injury last year, and then you pile the injury on it. But there's always this line to walk of this is a great Patriot. This is a guy that I think might be in the Patriots Hall of Fame down the line. And so then when you put that into it, it's not just simply a football decision. You're releasing somebody from the organization that means a lot.
Yeah, off the field too. Like I can definitely speak to countless visits to children's hospitals, bowling fundraisers that benefit Boston Children's, pancake breakfasts at domestic violence shelters. I mean, you could put David Andrews in any room and he would talk to someone like he was just a guy. He was so down to earth and just so cool and funny. And like the lowest points of the season, you could go to DA for a stupid TikTok or to go speak at podium, and he was just that guy for them. And it's just lost a real one.
Reliable.
Yeah.
I wonder, the reason I asked, has he said anything? I just wonder how much he's going to give Dante Scarnecchia credit for his development. Mm-hmm. Because, we talk about how rare is it for that undrafted guy to emerge, become a starter his whole career and be the captain. And, we were talking on Tuesday about linemen and how, you got to get them in here, but you got to develop these guys. You got to get them playing as a unit. And I wonder how much Scarnecchia helped him become who he is in the NFL.
Yeah, when I wrote the Scarnecchia going into the Hall of Fame, Patriots Hall of Fame, David Andrews was one of the people that I spoke to, and he couldn't have been more complimentary of Scar and told some great stories about him. So that's on the website somewhere.
So the second part of that is, if David Andrews came into our life 2 years ago, would he have been able to do what he did?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, I mean, it's impossible to know, and I understand exactly where you're going.
You know where I'm going.
So I would just say that I think David Andrews didn't get drafted because he wasn't quite big enough. I think he played at Georgia. He played at a very high level in college.
He did.
And probably had an awful lot of ability, but was undersized.
Good pedigree, too.
Nephew
of Dan Reeves.
Absolutely.
Oh. Yeah.
So, but I think, just wasn't quite big enough. Now, this is why I say, I think I know where you're going. Like, Will Campbell's arms aren't quite big enough. Like,
well, it wasn't necessarily.
Because he does have the ability.
No,
obviously, Will Campbell is talented enough to play in the NFL.
You got it half right. It wasn't Will Campbell specific. It was just, if you get solid guys who are coachable.
You're five good players theory.
And have a base of talent, you can make a good offensive line. You don't necessarily, look, it always helps to have Orlando Brown or Tyron Smith, but you don't have to have those guys to have a good line.
Yeah, I just thought it was interesting just to tie it to Washington. I think we all talked about, I'm forgetting the name of the rookie tackle that they drafted last year and played at left tackle. Coleman, but they still felt the need to go up and kind of upgrade him. Wonder how he's going to fit in.
Because he wasn't good.
Well, he's going to move inside, it sounds like, to guard, which is what a lot of people thought coming out. Same with Caden Wallace. So I hear what Fred's saying, though. Good coaching, 5 good guys, 5 coachable guys. I would take 5 David Andrews in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Just not every guy is wired like that. He was truly wired with a motor. Like that guy, every single play, emptied the tank consistently, and he's a really good player. I mean, he turned out to be a really good player.
Yep.
I think one of my favorite just visual memories from David Andrews was in that Kansas City AFC Championship game.
By.
Oh, yeah.
Of waving by as soon as they ran it in, and he's doing a lap right in front of the fans.
Yeah.
Doing
and that was just
bye-bye.
raw emotion.
Oh, yeah.
He loved to chirp.
He's not, I mean, he's not always one to talk to the fans like that in a post, but that game, like, it was such a hard-fought game, and it was just this release of emotion for everybody after that game.
Was that the year at the parade that he went shirtless?
Which parade?
I'm
that
not
he
sure
went
which
to?
way did he always
Was
go.
it both?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I didn't get to go to the parade, Paul. So they
I
let you go to
didn't-
the Super
I
Bowl
didn't
and the
go to
parade.
All right,
they didn't let
Fred
you.
and I usually anchor the parade coverage
Oh.
from right here in the studio.
I've never been to one parade.
No,
I thought they'd
Fred
have
and I
a-
do not go to the
They didn't have a
parades.
PU duck boat. That would
No,
sound
they-
like
I'm
that
sure
would
they
be
did,
there.
but we're just not on it.
Yeah. We had
Who
work
was on
to
it,
do.
Scal?
We're working.
Yeah.
They
We're not, double fisting.
There you go, Fred.
Double fisting it.
Pumping
on
out the
a
content
duck
here.
boat.
No time to drink
I
on a
was
duck
in-
boat.
I was on the duck boat.
Yeah, see,
Media
this
duck
guy's on a
boat.
duck boat.
He was on the PU duck boat
Oh,
before he was even a member.
Was it
Yeah.
the Clintus duck boat?
At the time.
The whole-
it was.
Clint's
the
got a whole duck boat.
They had their own duck boat.
Yeah,
Clintus.
yeah,
The
I
whole-
had
the
had
whole station got a duck
I
boat.
rode on the duck boat. It was cool.
Yeah.
I was
It's really
standing
fun. They were
on
the
the
biggest
wall on
fans
the
there.
Boston Commons.
Oh, yeah.
Very
Cheering
drunk.
as a fan, right? Yeah.
Well,
very
it's
drunk,
actually-
very drunk, young Alex.
Yeah, it was cool to there was only like one or two people, but some people like saw me like that I was actually friends with. That like
Oh,
my
yeah.
friends were in the crowd, and they're like, how did he get on a duck boat? You know?
I don't know either. They told me to come to the stadium, and here I am.
Exactly.
We're going down a rabbit hole, but we rate everything. We have lists. I wonder if there's someone who's qualified to rate the Patriots parades.
Wow. That's a good question. Talk to the city of Boston for, what the traffic and arrests were like. That
Yeah.
probably be some good
But
data.
like,
My friend
someone
got
who's been
arrested.
to all of them saying,
There's one.
"Who won was
Got
the
arrested for
best."
standing on an
You know?
ambulance.
Gronk.
Shout out
Yeah.
Billy.
It wasn't at all of them though, so that's Ernie Adams. Maybe Ernie Adams was at all of them.
He might be someone.
yeah.
Yeah, I could. Some people that work here might be able to rate them.
I'm sure everybody that's been here as long as we have
Good, Paul.
would be able to do that.
Good call.
Not you two depressed guys. Like, everyone's at a party
Oh, there was,
driving around
there was
Boston.
literally one year, and I
Here
don't
we
remember
are.
which
Shotgun
one.
and Bud
Mike.
lattes.
I don't remember which one it was, but there was one year that like there was so little movement in the admin level that the lights would frequently go out as we're working on the paper.
Right. And you're just throwing your hands up every time, like, we're working. Where's everyone?
And we're watching on TV, and then we see a duck boat. It's like, why the hell are they on a duck boat? It's like
That was Fred's
it's like
thing.
the finance
Fred's
department.
pointing out, why are you
Yeah.
there?
The finance department's on a duck boat. You know.
The parking department. Hey,
That's why I didn't
throw
get
'em
my
a beer.
check.
But I guess it was good that people did get to
No,
celebrate.
absolutely.
Yeah.
They should.
We're
We should all
kidding.
be there.
We're, it's not really sour grapes.
No. And if we could have been there if we wanted to. It's not like we
Yeah.
weren't invited.
No.
I'm gonna do a live cast during, like, just on the boat.
Yeah,
you
should
know,
have
like that
been
would
show
have
from the boat.
Be my-
we did
We've
that.
talked about that.
be my pitch.
Did
Next
not-
year we'll
Yeah.
do it.
We've talked about it. It's not really.
We have the technology.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
The duck boat
it'd be a
cam.
mess.
It would be a
gets-
music
be a
issue.
mess.
I
Did you ever
think we'd
see,
have
like-
an issue
Yeah.
with the music and licensing.
Yeah.
like the Celtics did it for their parade back in '08,
Yeah.
and it was a mess. Like
Oh,
because
yeah.
they, that's their station, so
Yeah.
there's just too much.
You'd probably
There's
have
too
to
much
have like
going
a
on.
stationary set, like not really on the duck boat, but kind of how like or Steve Burton does his thing during parades, like or like the Macy's Day Parade where the anchors are just kind of sitting
I
there
would just-
Well,
watching
you have
them go
one
by.
duck boat. On the top of it is a desk, a literal desk.
This desk.
We're sitting behind it, like going down the streets of Boston.
It's kind of like
Beers
the
flying
marathon,
Yeah.
like the marathon
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
every year, right?
Right.
So I understand why 1 million, 2 million people would go to the parade. Like, cool. Like, if I was like 20, I wouldn't miss it for the world, The marathon, I'm going to be on the side of the road, and I'm going to have a couple of beers. I'm going to enjoy the day and watch the runners go by. Am I going to spend 30 seconds watching it on TV when I'm not experiencing it? Why, like, it's not like that's something you need to catch on TV,
Yeah.
It's like that. I never understood the whole Celtics thing when they did that. Remember Felger was like throwing it back to Greg Dickerson, and like it was such a mess. And I'm like, who's watching this?
It'd be funny though, with like just stick like Evan on one of the boats and just go to him from time to time, but let him have a couple of Bud Lights while he's on
Yeah.
there. All right, we're going back to Evan, and it's slowly he's descending into just madness.
All of a
Totally
sudden,
red in
he's
the
watching
face.
the All 24.
He's like, I'm on to 2026. Don't bother me.
Yeah, I was at the Celtics parade this past Celtics championship, and like it had been a while. Woe is Boston, I know, but like it had been a minute since they had won a major sports title, and like it kind of felt like some of those older ones because there was kind of a break in winning, and it was really cool. Like there was a ton of people. I mean, I think it was like 1.5 million people in the city that day.
Yeah.
So
I can see Evan. Is that Alex Barth body surfing down Newberry Street?
Oh, that's the play. That
no one
you're
wants to
giving
see that.
you're giving the Sports Hub another gem of a Barth on a duck boat getting drunk. That'd be fun.
No one wants to see that.
All right, but we were talking about David Andrews.
Can we
hey.
do one more thing on David before we
Yeah.
move on? Is like, we've been talking a lot about like guys not wanting to come to New England and this and that, and like it's not desirable. But like, it was so cool to see him and his wife Mackenzie like totally embrace it here. Like they became New Englanders. They were vacationing in Chatham. Like it's just nice to see, you know, like they really appreciated the region and everything it had to offer, and just I don't know. It's just you don't always see that, you know. So
Well, a lot of
I really
ducks,
appreciated
and
that.
turkeys around here. I think that was part of the draw.
Yeah,
as you
for
said.
sure.
That population will be
But
excited.
there's a lot of guys. I mean, but Alex makes a good point. I do think that the Boston area in general, in all 4 sports, well, I would say the 3 sports. I think probably hockey is different.
hockey
but
players love it
Yeah,
here.
the other 3, I think they sometimes have a hard time attracting high-end free agent talent. But once they get it,
Yeah,
they love it.
Yeah.
for sure.
And like Kevin Garnett famously did not want to get traded to the Celtics, and now he loves everything about Boston.
And I don't know if you guys heard
It's
Mookie Betts
manageable.
too. Mookie Betts pretty recently was on a podcast just glowing about how much he loved the city and loved being here. And it's just like, I don't understand how it gets such a bad
Especially
rep.
if you
It's
have
cold.
kids.
Well,
I mean,
yeah.
Yeah,
It's-
but
the
it's
schools are
cold,
good,
but
the
it's also
healthcare is
cold
good.
in Buffalo and in like the
You
Minnesota.
think
and-
Buffalo attracts talent?
well, no, but like I don't. It's not that cold. Like grow up.
I mean, all the other stuff like aside, like I just think you have to. It's not for everybody, but you have to respect the fans here. That the fans care, and they're. I mean, I lived in California for a while. I saw kind of a contrast of not having sports radio drive conversation, and so when people come here like Kevin Garnett, who maybe a little skeptical, but then they're embraced by the city. But it's
See
not
how
easy.
Much, how much it matters to the city.
Yeah.
And I would think that would be a great environment to play in.
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
any
Yeah.
of the sports, because really it's all 4 of the sports. The fans really are invested and they care about the success of their
And you
their
can't tell me
teams.
there's a better place to be than New England in the fall. And frankly, I lean that way for the summer too. I think there's no better place to be than like
Yeah.
the summer in New
And
England.
you
It's
really
elite.
are if you're Kevin Garnett, you're a big fish in a smaller pond.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's part of what they don't like.
Oh, too much?
Sometimes, yeah.
You can't lose yourself? Yeah.
Because those guys go out in Boston and they're
Right.
immediately noticed, where they go out in New York
That's true.
and no one notices them.
Just get the private room upstairs, right?
That's true.
Well, yeah.
Don't tell,
Yeah,
don't
they
give
all
away
have
the
their
secret.
hookups with the clubs and the restaurants.
But I think that is a big, especially for the basketball
hard to
players.
hide as a
Like,
6'8"
If you're
dude.
at a bar in Boston and Jason Tatum, like everyone's gonna know it's Jason Tatum,
Yeah.
right? So like you can't really L.A., New York, like you can
Miami.
you
But
can,
there's only
They
like,
just blend.
like those are like the only 3 places that happen. Maybe Chicago. but
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah, but I think it's more also like in those places there's other celebrities,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like as
You're not a
famous
big deal.
We've got Keith Lockhart.
as famous as Jason Tatum is, like
Ben Affleck.
it might be somebody that's even more famous that he's with, that is drawing all the attention. But this is the last thing on David Andrews.
Oh, you're saying that this is the last thing?
No,
Well, he wants to get back to all 22.
Yeah, get back to football. I don't know if this is the end for him in terms of retirement, but he has talked a lot about like he's gonna be around the game post playing career. I would not be surprised if he gets into coaching. Like I wouldn't be surprised if he's an offensive line coach someday. Not right away, but he's definitely said that he doesn't think that he could be away from the game for too long. He's got that itch to still be around.
The O-line
That's why-
coaching disaster 2 years ago, we were told that he was actually a de facto coach.
Yeah.
That's why I'm kind of surprised, like they didn't just, like Paul was saying earlier, give him a shot at least to camp to prove himself, see if he still has it in the tank, and then be kind of like that James Ferentz type role, like kind of player coachy. I don't know.
Yeah, ironically,
I
I
feel like
think
it'd be valuable.
he may, and I don't know exactly how this is going to play out or who's going to win the job, but he may have really trained his replacement with Cole Strange.
Yeah.
He spent a lot of time with Cole Strange, say last October, November, as Cole was coming back from his injury and training him to play center. And he played the last 3 games?
Yeah, something
Yeah, last 2 starts.
So
Yeah, 3
I mean,
games,
I would
2
think
starts.
right now he would be the leader in the clubhouse on the depth chart.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Ben Brown would be ahead of him because he played more games, but I would lean to Cole Strange.
Dave wants to know, Dave O'Neill, is Jake Andrews still on the team?
Yeah,
He is.
No, he's another low-ranking option. I mean, I think the interesting thing to me is you look at Ben Brown and Cole Strange seem kind of different dudes. You know, Cole Strange seems a little bit more athletic. Ben Brown seems a little bit more big. I'd love to know how they view those guys. We only saw Jake Andrews, I think, 2 years ago as a guard. We hadn't seen him, but I think he was kind of seen as a center, as a kind of a pure center initially. So
He's only a center in college.
yeah, so they have some options to consider. It's not like we got nobody, but you just don't know with those guys. They might not think anything of those guys.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, Jake Andrews was drafted to be David Andrews' replacement. Like, you don't draft a center in the 4th round
Andrews,
and
named
expect
Andrews,
him
literally.
to not, play down the line. So that was Bill's plan at the time, was to draft Jake Andrews and have him study under David Andrews for a year or two and then pass the torch, but he hasn't been able to stay healthy.
He's almost, I would say, like David Andrews in the sense of smaller, athletic, wrestling background. Like all three of those guys they just each have a different flavor.
The wrestling background was the big one with Jake Andrews. I think I did the profile on him coming out, so this is all coming back to me now. And Jake Andrews, like, big wrestler, like state champion wrestler, and grappling and leverage and all that kind of good
buzzwords.
Stuff. Yeah.
Jack in Inaba wants to know, with Andrews leaving, does that affect the draft? Is it more likely now that they'll trade down to get more picks?
Oh, I don't think so. I mean, I definitely think it puts center more on the on the menu. But like we said, they do have some options. I mean, maybe for all I know, they could say Cole Strange is going to be a really good center. We believe in him. I don't know if that's the case or not. But I think center, you got to consider it as part of.
Yeah, I don't think you need to trade down. I think Evan just explained it. Jake Andrews was probably drafted with that thought in mind. That's a day 3 pick, and I think they have a handful of day 3 picks. I think they have three.
Yeah,
they have 3
three
seventh rounders.
Yeah.
And I'm not just saying, well, you can just draft a guy in the 7th round and there you go. No, but back to Fred's theory of you draft a guy 5th, 6th, 7th round with the idea of developing him.
Yeah.
And that's, you have to hope that your coaching staff is improved.
Right.
And they'll be able to do some of these things. Doug Marrone will be able to develop some of these guys.
Then you reflect back on David Andrews doing that as an undrafted rookie. It's not a position you're counting on at all. And, to get that kind of bonus, I just think it speaks overall to the Patriots roster needs that they need a couple surprises. Like, they need a couple guys that maybe we've given up on, or players that are under the radar that emerge and play. It happens a lot in the NFL. I mean, it's not common. I know that those things are relatively rare, but it does happen for each team. You find those gems. I mean, it's happened a bunch of times with this team. It just hasn't happened lately. There hasn't been, maybe Pop Douglas, but even he was kind of highly regarded as a, what he is, a little slot guy. But it's been too hard. They've hit on their top picks the last couple of years, but they've got to find more contributions from the lower round guys.
Yeah, I'm not too concerned about center in terms of drafting it high or anything like that. I think center is one of those positions that I would say is probably the easiest to replace on the offensive line, just because you're uncovered a lot of the time, so you're not actually going one-on-one against guys very often, especially nowadays. There aren't a lot of true nose tackles like a Vince Wilfork that's just lining up over the center every single play. So I don't have a ton of concern. Like, you want somebody obviously that procedurally can handle the position, snap the ball, make the calls, all that kind of stuff, and then ideally someone that can run block at a decent level. But most of the time, those guys are, you're half sliding and you're sliding to help the guard more times than not, than actually blocking somebody that's head up over you. If you're really rough in pass protection, teams will target the center if that's really a weak link. But you have to be, the worst guy on the line, I would say, to have them do that.
It's interesting just to think about Josh and how Josh liked to have the quarterback make all the calls. Last year with Alex Van Pelt, the center was making the calls. Is Josh going to revert back to that? Or, I think part of the, at least initial appeal with having David Andrews back was, well, he knows Josh, and I don't know what the offense is going to be, but you at least know that they have an established relationship. He understands how Josh wants things to run. What's going to happen this year? Is it going to be put on Drake May? Is it going to potentially, stick with Ben Brown or whoever ends up there? But I was going to ask you, just what were your impressions last year of Ben Brown and Cole Strange when you broke down those guys?
Yeah, I thought Ben Brown started well and then kind of fizzled out towards the end. I think he got banged up a little bit and some injuries might have contributed. But run blocking is a big guy, like you mentioned, so I think he can move people in the run game. But he struggled a little bit in pass protection later on, and as the year progressed, he had a couple of rough games down the stretch there before the injury. And with Cole Strange, I think the biggest thing with him is just leverage. Like, center is a position that you want to play low. You want to be underneath people, and he's a little bit tall and a little bit wiry for a center. So, that would just be the one concern. You mentioned Jake Andrews. Like, Jake Andrews is like a block, right? Like, he's like a low to the ground kind of guy. Same with David Andrews. So I think both those guys can play center adequately. I wouldn't say that I'm crazy gung-ho that either one of them is going to be anything close to elite at that position, but I don't think that they're completely written off either.
Dan in where's he from? I think he's from Australia. Yeah, no, Dan in Virginia, Michigan. Unless the team knows that Andrews is retiring, it's a classless move to cut someone who has been a class act both on and off the field, which made him one of the few bright spots in recent years. He earned the right to at least be given the chance to show he could still do it. I don't know the details. I got a feeling that this is mutual. This is a true mutual parting of ways, maybe. I don't know.
I don't know about that, but we'll find out. And I will say that financially, I mean, again, I don't know the details, but financially it would seem that this is better for David Andrews.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if he has to announce his retirement, then he's not going to get whatever money is owed to him because he's forfeiting that.
Yeah.
And by releasing him,
Give him a little
financially,
severance
it
package.
probably is better for David.
Right.
But I'm not sure that he wanted to. I mean, he might retire, but I'm not sure he wanted to retire.
Yeah.
I think
He's the type of guy that just wanted to go till the wheels literally fell off.
Do you remember when, like, in the podcast with Brian, like, during the season, he said, my goal is to have this surgery so I have a chance to play.
Yeah.
It
So
was
I
really
find it hard to
important.
believe that something changed between, say, November and now.
It was really important to him that his sons got to see him play too. And I know his little toddler Ford kind of did. I don't know if he's old enough to understand, but he has a newborn too. I think maybe not even a year
So you got about
old,
7
so-
more years in him. By the time the newborn's going to remember
Right.
anything.
Yeah, 'cause I
Probably
remember
not.
he had the newborn during camp, I think,
During
last year,
camp
because he
last
missed
year.
a couple of days
Yeah,
of
'cause he
practice,
was in the
remember?
NICU.
The baby.
Yeah.
Anthony writes in, first, sad to see Andrews go. Pretty surprised by the move, and seems like they just must be doing him a solid by giving him the chance to go to a contender. Can't see the justification otherwise. Second, I'm very much biased as a Michigander, but have spent time in New England in the summer, and I'll say this. Alex, you can't beat Michigan in the fall summer. We have all the foliage of New England, superior beaches as their fresh water, and Detroit and Grand Rapids if you want some city life. My fellow Michiganders will hopefully defend me on this. Lake Michigan for July, October can't be beat.
I'm sure it's great, but like the ocean's the ocean.
Where do you go skiing up in Michigan?
I don't
Plus,
know.
If
right.
you're
You
more of
don't
a if you're more of a
don't.
freshwater guy, we have
Not
that too.
We have we have a lot
There's
of
a million
We
lakes.
of
don't have the Great Lakes.
Not,
No,
they're
no,
not the
but-
Great
yeah, but
Lakes,
a
but
Great Lake,
We have
Champlain,
Winnipesaukee.
we have
But
But I'm saying
Winnipesaukee.
if it's a freshwater, like
Yeah, we have plenty
And,
of
like, you can't-
Winnipesaukee is huge.
Right.
I really like Michigan. I really, really do. But like, you can't say the foliage is as good because like the mountains in the Berkshires, the White Mountains, Vermont, like
Right.
you can't compare like
You
those.
can't compare.
In like, it's just a marvel in the fall to drive
It's
in
like
New
writing a
Hampshire
Robert
or in
Frost
the
poem
Berkshires.
over there.
This
You
is
know
like
me.
when I'm the all 22.
Yeah, right.
you know,
I know.
Visit Mass.
You know.
Come sponsor me.
So
I got a
seriously,
campaign
right?
for you.
Like, you really
We were
pitching
talking
it.
about this before the show, talking about the seasons. And is it true that things happen in the fall, spring, and summer, but they happen over the winter?
It's a good question because we also like things happen over the summer
Over
too,
the
right?
summer.
But
Yeah.
never really over the fall. You never. Oh, we'll do that over the fall.
Or over the spring?
over the no.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
So anyway,
I think so. Just
just
'cause-
thought I'd
Maybe
throw
it has
that
to do
out
with the school calendar. Like you have a long break in the summer, you get a long break in the winter, over the
Over-
summer, over
It's a
the
very
winter.
big day.
You know?
They're
In
little-
shows history. They've rendered me speechless for the first time in 20 plus years.
But they're both winter and summer are both little contained things that
Yeah.
people try to do specific things during them. So like
Yeah.
over the summer, you're usually going on your vacations. You're maybe going to the beach a lot.
Yeah.
Over the winter, you're maybe going on vacation or ski trips. So I don't know. I'm
Yeah.
spitballing here. I don't know.
All right. Bill in San Diego says, maybe I missed something, but has the door been officially shut on Strange competing for the left guard spot? If so, why? No one mentions him anymore except to play center.
No,
No,
I don't know.
Strange is
Yeah.
mentioned all the time.
Yeah, I think he could play at either of those spots.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think before we knew that David Andrews was going to get released, people said, is it Cole Strange? Is it City So?
Yeah.
Jake Andrews again, because he played a lot of guard when he was a rookie. That's sort of, I think Evan always describes it as sort of a sneaky need that people don't really talk about a lot, but they don't, Layden Robinson, is he going to be the left guard?
Yeah.
They have a lot of bodies and a lot of options, but no answers.
No,
And I think Cole Strange is one of those bodies at both guard and center.
Yeah, it feels like
No answer, though.
It'd be great if one of them could be an answer.
It feels like there's a chance that they look at it and say, well, with better coaching, with Josh McDaniels, with Doug Marrone, with Vrabel, that one of these recent draft picks, we should be able to get one starter out of Strange, Robinson. So maybe Jake Andrews, but he hasn't been healthy. Like, we should be able to get one starter out of those three guys on the line.
And now you need two.
Right.
Unless you make another move.
Well, and this is why I've been saying all along that I would like to see them sign a veteran left guard and just solidify that spot like they did with right tackle, because I think that's a risk. I think it's a risk to say two spots on the interior are just going to be kind of thrown to the wind, and you hope that one of these guys is good enough to play the position. I would like to see somebody there with some experience.
So does this increase the likelihood of drafting Campbell, knowing that at least you're going to get a guard out of him?
It could.
It's possible. Yeah. I like what Evan's saying. I mean, I was just thinking a perfect world that Layden Robinson would come back and, grow into that role, and just, to have a rookie contract and a guy you've already worked with. I think that's the ideal scenario. I just wonder where this all leaves Caden Wallace. I don't know if he has any potential to slide inside. Is he just kind of going to be treading water behind Morgan Moses until maybe he gets banged up, or, is he going to have any kind of real opportunity? Because I do think, like, coming out last year, Caden Wallace was seen as like a developmental right tackle, so maybe a guy, maybe miscast last year, but somebody, but
that's what he was seen as, a guy that went a little too early, right?
Sure, but now we're in year 2, and so maybe that development, does that start to kick in? We were asking him to come in and be the left tackle last year. That sounds a little crazy.
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
But maybe there's something there too. There's just so much uncertainty. I can't imagine just releasing all of those guards that they've drafted over the last couple of years. They can't all be misses, can they? Like, that's, I guess, where I'm landing.
Yeah, and City So too played decent with Bill O'Brien in a similar offense, and if they're going to be more of a downhill gap run scheme with McDaniels like he's done in the past, I think those guys are better fits in that type of scheme. Strange probably better for zone, but Robinson, So, Wallace, like, those are power blockers. Those are power-oriented players, and if you put them in downhill schemes, then maybe they are serviceable in some of those roles. I think Caden Wallace moving inside was something that people thought maybe in the draft was going to happen to him anyways in the NFL. It's flipping sides on top of that, but there's a really good track record of moving college tackles inside to guard.
Yep.
And they're really high-level pass protectors because they're used to blocking on the outside. So maybe he can be one of those guys that converts and plays guard.
Kamel from Atlanta, 3 things. I think Andrews is retiring because of the Robert Kraft statement, and Mike Reese put in his story that this could be like when the Patriots released Julian Edelman. So remind me of what that situation was like. Do you remember?
I don't remember the exact details, but I think Paul.
It had to do with money.
Yeah, I think Paul.
I'm going to say this: if David Andrews retires, it's because he doesn't want to play for anybody but the Patriots. I believe he still wants to play.
Yeah.
That's my feeling, and until I see something that he says counter to that, that's what he has said. And I think that it's very possible that he doesn't have interest in playing for another team.
Yeah.
So therefore, he will retire. Since that team, the only team that he wants to play for, doesn't want him, he's going to retire. Yeah. This is not Julian Edelman-like.
I don't remember what Julian Edelman was like.
Well, Julian Edelman's knees gave out. Like he had
bone on
nothing
bone.
left. But I also wonder.
And he didn't want to play anymore.
Is there a chance that David, and I'm just hypothetically, is there a chance that David Andrews' shoulder is not bouncing back?
Yes.
Right. And just like Julian Edelman's knee did not bounce back. Yeah. David Andrews is now recognizing he's gone through some checkpoints with doctors and stuff like that, and they're just like, it's just not going to hold. If you want
to tell me this is physical, then I would absolutely listen.
That's the only way I would say what you said. I would just, could potentially be.
Physically, it could be just that he can't do it anymore. He knows it.
Yeah.
Kamel also wonders, how are we feeling that Joe Cardona and Juwan Bentley, if you count him, are the only dynasty players on the team now?
I kind of like it.
Yeah.
I think it's time. Like, I think it's time
It had to happen eventually.
Right. And I
Yeah.
think that those guys, as great as all of those players were at a time, I think you were holding on to something that just doesn't exist anymore.
It doesn't help you.
Right.
Yeah.
And,
Like Vrabel said.
Yeah.
It's
Doesn't
nice
ring true.
It doesn't help me right
yeah,
now.
yeah. And I think that a lot of people, you'd hear a lot, oh, well, back in the good old days when we were winning Super Bowls, and it's like after a while, you have to have a new culture, and you have to have a new.
I really like the move for Washington. I mean, both Dietrich Wise and Jonathan Jones are gone there, but I really like the Jonathan Jones move for them. That feels like that team where they're trying to go right now to get a versatile member of their secondary, can play a number of positions, has that leadership, has the the experience in big games. That I think that's a slam dunk for them. We'll see how Dietrich Wise fits in, but
But it's similar
think
to
it's
what
time.
they did last year. They made some moves that, are obviously much more important, like the quarterback. But they also had, a handful of sort of veteran guys that were past their primes a little bit that they brought in hopes that Bobby Wagner would happen. Maybe they're hoping Jonathan Jones can do that for their secondary.
Yeah.
Sort of not necessarily, become this Pro Bowl level cornerback that he's never really been, but just be a solid piece.
Matchup piece, playing
Communication guy, locker room guy.
Yeah.
Jonathan Jones, another pretty solid character player.
Both
Yeah.
of them.
For the
All three,
Patriots.
yeah.
Both, no, we lost my 3 favorite players in
Oh.
24 hours yesterday.
We
Like,
buried the lead.
Wow, you're in mourning.
I
wonder
really
if-
am. Like, I mean, I get it, but
You'll get
like,
new friends.
I
I don't
know
know
I
about
will,
them,
but like
yeah.
Dietrich Wise and John Jones, especially DA too, but I just have so much respect and appreciation for who they are as people, and they're just such really, really intelligent guys, and not just football intelligent,
totally agree
like
with you.
real life intelligent. Both of them I could talk to all day about history, food, like just there's so much there, and they were just great guys that you want in a locker room. Like, they have great values. They're great family men. Like, it's a loss for the locker room for sure.
I didn't really think of it, but Alex, it's like, I don't really go in the locker room on a regular basis anymore. Those are the last guys that I knew.
Yeah.
Like, it's a
Like, these
it's a
other guys
loss
that are
for
in it now, I
the
don't even know
community
them.
too. Like, John and Dietrich especially, like, they're not just like showing up with a smile to these great events that the foundation puts on. Like, they are in the grassroots planning it themselves. Like, John Jones did so much for our local schools and our local kids. Dietrich Wise, he would host a block party in Mattapan every year, and he would bring in tens of thousands of dollars worth of fresh produce and food and have just a free farmer's market for people in the community to just come take groceries. And it's just like, I don't know, like, so many guys do great stuff in the community, but not at the level that they were. And it's just, they were just so great to talk to. I'm really going to miss them.
And then finally from Kamel, I didn't get to watch many Patriots games on TV. Was Jalen Hawkins good or bad?
Special teamer, fill-in guy. I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
A depth signing. But
Yeah.
good guy. I liked him. I ran into him
Yeah.
on Cape Cod before the season, so I always, always was kind of rooting for him. But no, good depth signing for them. I gotta piggyback though on Alice's. Those guys are so interesting to me because they came in to the Patriots dynasty. They were part of success. They had success. But then they were kind of the guys that had to stand up and talk through all the losing and the downward trends. And,
That's a good point.
Dietrich Wise just, always a calm presence. I always just love Dietrich Wise because his old, he'd tap you on the shoulder and walk by you.
Yeah.
Just always fun, always willing to have a smile with us. Got to know all of us a little bit.
Still owes me an Arkansas quarter zip.
It's a 3/4 zip or a quarter zip?
Quarter zip.
But I just echoing Alex, great guys, and they'll be missed, no question. But I still fall with Evan. I think it's time, those guys saying, what do we have to do to be a championship team? I don't think this new team needs to hear about what we used to do when we were the Dynasty Patriots,
No.
7 years ago. It needs to be a new team that figures it out on their own and isn't trying to live up to a standard. They're going to establish their own standard.
And I couldn't be happier for them to go to a really exciting team like the Commanders. And I think they have a lot of value to add to that locker room. And it's
For
cool to
sure.
see what the Commanders have done this offseason.
Dano in Chicago, grew up in Eastern Mass, but now live in Chicago for several years, so I can speak to both. I've visited both Mass and Michigan in the summer many times, but Mass is far superior.
Oh.
Michigan is probably the best summer spot in the Midwest, but it simply can't compete with Massachusetts, and Lake Michigan cannot compete with the ocean.
Yeah. When presidents and billionaires are vacationing in Michigan, let me know.
Yep.
Oh,
Wow.
Flex.
They don't have Nantucket or the Vineyard.
I mean, I've tried to go to the Obama estate in Martha's Vineyard and just like see if they'll let me.
I would
in,
even say, like, New England in general. The Bushes in
Yep.
Kennebunkport.
Yep.
You know, there's
Taylor Swift in Rhode Island.
Right.
Yeah.
Plus, we're the cradle of.
That's where Michigan
the
has
country.
those beat. They got it M&M.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh.
Man.
that's where he lives. That's where he's from.
He's from there.
8 Mile.
Does
People-
he still live
Did
there?
you know that?
Yeah,
He's
he
from
lives
8
in
Mile.
Charleston.
Yeah, but people
I saw the
come
movie,
here
Evan.
that aren't from. You know, they're not
Right.
even from Dedham. They're not even from here, guy.
Yeah.
And they come here just to
Obama, like,
vacation.
grew up in
here.
like
You can
Hawaii
throw
and
Taylor
comes
Swift's name
here.
out there. The
Exactly.
bigger names in Michigan.
That's a good flex right there. Obama grew up in Hawaii.
Hawaii,
He
Yeah.
goes-
you're right.
He
Great
chooses
point,
to
Evan.
vacation.
I will adopt
Here.
that point forever.
Yeah, yeah. He goes to one of the restaurants on the Vineyard Lookout Tavern that,
Yep.
that we go to a lot. And one of these times, I'm just like, can you just like? It'd be hilarious if it's just like Obama at the bar. You know,
What's up, Obama?
Yeah.
Just look at like the skankety head. Is it
He's like,
skank?
hey,
Yo, Rock.
catch 22 guy.
Yeah, right. Maybe
Yo,
Is
Rock,
it
what's up?
Skankety Head, the golf course in
I'm a
Nantucket?
fan of you.
Which one?
The Skankety Head at Bill's a member there. in
I'm not a
Nantucket?
Nantucket guy.
Okay.
No.
I've
Well,
never
just-
been on Nantucket. I've been to the Vineyard 9,000 times. I've
Okay,
never been
PU
on-
live show live from Nantucket.
Never been on Nantucket.
I've never been
Let's
on
do
Nantucket.
it.
Nantucket's really cool.
It's too snooty
Yeah,
for me.
I've been to
They
Nantucket.
don't
but
allow
I-
my type there.
Live show
Martha's
Cisco.
Vineyard better.
Live show at
I like
Cisco. Let's
There
do
you
it.
go, better.
There's more to do in Martha's Vineyard. Like
Oh, yeah.
Nantucket's
Yeah.
like one town center basically,
Yeah.
and Martha's Vineyard.
Well,
has
if you're
like
rich
2 or
enough,
3.
there's a lot to do in Nantucket
Well,
because
yeah,
the party
but I'm
comes to
not,
your house.
Alex.
No.
Although Wings was based in Nantucket. That's a great.
There you go.
That was a great
Yep.
sitcom.
You like
Absolutely.
that.
Oh yeah.
The Sconce at High.
Oh yeah.
Come on.
It was on all the time.
It was a great show.
Love that.
Joel in San
Love Talent
Antonio,
Chapel.
as always, thanks for the hard work, keeping us entertained. Just want to congratulate David Andrews on a stellar career. He's the definition of a do-your-job type mentality. I really wish him the best and hope he gets a red jacket someday. Hall of Famer? Patriots Hall of Famer?
I think
He's
he's a
a-
Patriots.
he's a
Hall of
Patriots
Famer.
Hall of
That's
Famer
like
for
what
sure.
the
He should
team
be.
Hall of Fame is made for, right?
Yeah.
Is guys like that.
Be another one that'll push the other guys that belong in there out.
Regarding the emailer about Michigan being better than Mass during the
Poor
summer,
Michigan.
well,
Michigan's a great place. I don't want it to be like.
I'm not from
It's okay.
Massachusetts. I'm born and raised in Puerto Rican, living in Texas for the past 20 years. I'll say this. It doesn't matter how great the Great Lakes are. In my book, the ocean will always be better.
Yeah.
We have good rivers here that people go tubing in. We have
have
lakes to go
tides.
swim, and those are great. But the ocean calls me every single time. That ocean water, the sand, the waves, it's just paradise.
I agree
Absolutely.
wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
Case closed.
We have some of the top beaches in the entire country.
Yes.
On the islands and stuff. You know, Martha's Vineyard.
And Rhode Island too. Like
Yeah.
Yeah, Rhode
second
Island.
beach in Newport.
Underrated, Rhode
I'll
Island.
park my butt there all day,
I
forever.
like this side of
Craig
it.
wants to know
Yeah,
if I'm
defensive,
shrinking.
I like
Love
it.
it.
Love
Looks
New
small.
England, okay? I love New England.
I mean, can we just like put
As
this
much as
on,
I
like,
talk
a
crap
video?
about the
Like, for, like,
taxes in
Cooper Cup?
Massachusetts,
Like, let's
I-
send this segment
Right.
to
I
Cooper
actually-
Cup and just, like,
I made a
it's
TikTok
just
the
like
other
LA.
day
Copa.
talking about this, and
Right.
hopefully they see it.
Yeah. There you go.
Cooper, we got a video for you. Come on, you gotta come to Boston, guy.
Just want to remind everyone of what's going on here today. At 1 o'clock, there'll be a live press conference from the GP Atrium. It'll be Robert Kraft, Mike Vrabel, Elliot Wolf, and whatever free agents are in town today. We'll be going to the podium. Then we'll go back to this show, because we'll cover that live here in the show. And then we'll go back to us, and we'll go beyond 2 o'clock with reaction from that and everything else.
Yeah,
So
it seems like
it's a
the,
big day today.
Like 4 of the big ones, according to people
Reese's
on
Pieces.
Twitter.
Yeah,
so
Williams.
Milton Williams,
Yep.
Carlton Davis, Morgan Moses, and
Robert
Spillane.
Spillane.
Robert
Yeah.
Spillane.
Yep.
Yeah, those 4 I think will be expected to appear.
Who was Mickey Spillane?
Mickey Spillane.
Yeah,
Why
people,
am I
Fred-
blanking on that?
people keep making that joke.
He was
man.
a detective, right?
Detective?
Yeah.
No, he was a writer who wrote about.
Oh, like a
Um,
gumshoe or something?
I thought he was a character.
No, I thought Mickey Spillane was
That's
the
why.
writer.
That's why I pointed to Fred. I didn't want to say something.
Only we
stupid.
could
Look it
Google
up.
it.
Look
You
it
think
up.
you're Mickey Spillane?
I believe he was the writer who wrote about
Mike Hammer.
Marlowe, right?
Oh,
that's Philip Marlowe.
Yeah.
He's a novelist. You were right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And who did he write
Detective
about?
novels.
Yeah.
About a
Mike
certain
Hammer?
Detective.
Could it? Yeah.
Mike
What detective did he write about?
Mike Hammer,
Mike Hammer.
Damn,
Good
Paul.
Paul.
Wow.
Good
Mike
Paul.
I thought you
Hammer.
were making a joke.
the king of Pulp Fiction, apparently. Which
There you go.
I don't know if that's related to
Mickey
the movie
Spillane?
at all. Mickey Spillane, known as the king of Pulp Fiction.
Makes me
Okay.
the king
There
of the
you go.
person that knows just enough to get in trouble about everything. And then I check with
Captain
Alex.
America comics too.
Yeah.
Yep, comic books. Yep, novels
Wow.
or novellas.
Prolific.
I don't know what the difference
Novellas
is.
with a
Novella?
small one.
So now I'm going to be calling Bobby Spillane Mickey for the rest of his
Well, his
career.
name is Robert Spillane.
He's going to be calling him Bobby.
Why not Bobby?
Bobby Spillane.
Don't know if he prefers Bobby. Probably
should
not.
probably
But if
check
he likes
with him.
Rob.
We'll find out.
Yeah.
Like Ben Watson.
I'll ask
Right.
for you.
He liked to be called Benjamin.
Oh, Bob Sanders from the Colts.
Do you
He-
prefer
Call,
he-
Bobby?
call him Bob. His name
Bob
was Robert.
Sanders. Right, but that's what he went by.
Bob.
Like, no, do you prefer to be called Frederick or Fred?
I don't care. I'm not one of those people that I prefer to be Joshua.
Oh.
Oh,
Poor
very
Uche.
specific.
Uche just caught a stray.
Taking strays for
Hey,
no
he's
reason.
Just signed with
Signed with
Philly, I
Eagles.
think.
It's like, like I don't care.
Wow. Anger.
I don't
like
care.
it.
My mother cared, but I don't.
Well, that's why they do it. It's because it's all about the mamas. The
Yeah.
mamas care and they get mad. You're junior, don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sabrina in Austria writes in.
Wow.
Hi,
That's a place
guys,
I'd love
and
to go.
Alex. Is there a possibility where we double dip at left tackle with maybe a 4th overall and our 3rd round choice, draft Campbell, focus on wide receiver in the 2nd round, and then get another left tackle? So we have insurance if Campbell can't play offensive tackle in the NFL to move him to guard and still have another young body at the position.
Sure.
Yeah, maybe. I just you don't want to overkill it, but you got to figure out the problem. So I think if you're not 100% sure and you have to back it up, I'd love them to say, we love this guy, we believe in this guy, we're taking this guy, and we don't need to have a backup for him because we're confident.
Yeah.
But
Not a terrible
you
theory.
got to get it right, though.
You know, strength in numbers, except for, I just would caution, like, if Will Campbell doesn't work, you don't have a fallback on a 3rd round pick.
Yeah.
You have another guy who may or may not work.
Right. Probably less
Because
of a
there's
chance.
a reason why you're getting him in the 3rd round, and that's because people aren't sold on him.
Yep.
Yeah. I if I had to do a mock draft today, though, I'd probably have them double dipping at tackle.
Yeah, I think the theory is sound.
Yeah, I mean, I would like that player to maybe be a little bit flexible so that he could either be a swing or he could be guard or tackle or like something like that. But I the 2nd pick, I mean, whoever they pick in the middle rounds. But I would say that's sound reasoning.
How about a double dip of, veteran of your choice, if it's Cam Robinson, whoever,
Yeah.
and one of your injured guys?
Yeah, that's what we talked a little bit about on Catch 22 yesterday. Like, if they sign Cam Robinson, let's say the market's not there for Cam Robinson that he expected, so you give him a 1-year deal. He's going to start this year for the Patriots. Let him reset his value maybe a little bit and draft Josh Simmons, who the Ohio State tackle that's coming off injury. We don't really entertain Josh Simmons because it's not an immediate answer.
Right.
But if that's the way that you could do it, then it's something. It's an option.
Mike, that's
for sure.
facilitating again.
I like
this
that.
is 2 days, two
Mike
shows in
Greenberg
a
over
row.
here.
I'm like magic.
Well, can we head up to the thing?
can
We'll,
exit.
is that all right with you
Yeah,
guys?
so I won't be able to facilitate anymore because
How
Fred
long
won't
does it
play.
take you to get up there?
Well,
All right. No, you need
you got
to
to get
be
a
seen.
seat.
You
We
need
got to
to be
walk in
seen.
front of everybody
Okay.
and
They got to sign their autographs.
Braves.
For a little
All right.
sensory reporting.
Try to have a good show without us.
Okay. So these guys are going up to be seen at the press conference.
I got a view up there. It's starting to fill up.
It's starting to fill up. Okay. So we'll go to that when it becomes live.
Alex, you don't need to be seen. You're going to slum it with us.
She'll go up eventually.
I'll
You
go
know
up
she can't resist.
Yeah.
Now I want to say, just in spite of that comment.
Now I'm going to just defend New England some more.
Yeah. Stevie in Minnesota, sad to see Andrews, Jones, and Wise go. Speaking from personal experience, having lived in Minnesota. So you opened up a big can of worms
I
here.
guess so.
Having lived in Minnesota and visited Massachusetts, Minnesota is the better summer spot. The lakes are far superior to the ocean, and the people are much friendlier. And although Michigan is nice, Minnesota is the best Midwest state for all seasons. Also, Ursi from Minnesota would be a steal at 38 if they're able to get him. Okay, I don't know Ursi.
Yeah, it's a longer name than that, I believe.
Okay.
But
Hunter
unfortunately,
Carter-
Evan
Hunter-
stepped out at the worst time because I'm sure Evan could give you 25 minutes on.
He said Hunter or Carter at 4, Ursi at 38 would be a successful first 2 rounds.
Oh, yeah, I agree. Like if you could somehow get Hunter or Carter at 4, yeah, that would make a lot of sense. That's still very much in flux, though.
This has legs. Speaking in Fresno, a few years ago, I returned to Martha's Vineyard, where our family had gone every summer when I was a kid. Way back in my youth, I finally recall the ferocity of the waves crashing at South Beach, and those were still there. But sadly, Gayhead Beach no longer had all the starfish that used to be everywhere, nor locals doing rituals in the buff. Anyone know what happened to the starfish?
How about Menemsha? Did you go there? Did you catch a little sunset action? That's clean living, Alex. That's where could you just park your butt for the day? Is
Newport.
Newport.
Yeah.
I haven't spent a lot of time at Newport, although I did pick up my first career collegiate victory in Newport
There you go.
at Salve Regina.
Okay. Beautiful.
It's a little
school.
fun fact for you.
Yeah. Jeffrey in Canada
Out of the bullpen.
wants to know, are we done? If we're doing a press conference to introduce our acquisitions, does that signal the end of major acquisitions this offseason? No. I mean, if there's other people available, it's not like they're
I would
hanging
say
it up.
I would say, and this is not because of the press conference today, but I would say in terms of like major stuff, you're probably done. Because I don't think there's a lot of major available unless Fred's theory comes to
Right.
pass. Like you
Guys
are able to
shake loose.
to make a trade for A.J. Brown. That's major. But what's available right now on the free agent market, I don't think would qualify as anything major.
Well, Cup.
Cooper Cup
Yeah,
maybe,
that's
but
not
like
major.
even
Well, in your eyes, but I think
no, there's a reason why he was made available for 2 weeks to the entire league. No one took him, and now he's been released for a day, and still the teams that have been tied to him are like Seattle, the Patriots, and the Broncos. Like, there's not a lot of interest there.
Well-
that's not a major signing.
well, I think he's weighing his options.
No, I know, but teams aren't.
Yeah, I
The
mean, it's
teams
not
that are
like
showing
every team-
interest are the
Right.
are those teams, not
Listen,
I
not
think it might be major
Kansas
to the
City,
fans.
Buffalo, Green Bay, like the teams that are, that are really good that need receivers haven't been linked to him yet.
if the Patriots had a flair for the dramatic, they'd bring up, the free agents at the podium and go, "Oh, we have one more," and then they'd bring out Cooper Cup, and all the ball knowers would be like, "Ah!"
Yeah, I'm not sure you get the reaction that you think you would get
No,
with
listen,
signing,
I
by
don't
signing
think
Cooper
might.
Cup.
I'm not saying
I want them to sign Cooper Cup because I think they need a
Yes.
professional.
If it happens
Exactly.
They need a
without
professional
Shefty
in the
or
room.
Rappaport leaking it and he just popped up, like that has never happened.
right.
Like
I
that'd
think
be
that
fun.
would be great.
like it,
Great
it-
content.
Yeah.
in terms of adding to the depth chart, is just adding another complementary receiver to the depth chart. Off the field in that room, it I think would add a ton of professionalism to a specific position group that really needs it. So I am 1,000% in on signing Cooper Cup, but I'm in no way am I like deluding myself into thinking that's changing the course of my offense because I
No.
have Cooper Cup.
But it helps.
I think it helps off the field. I don't know how much it helps on
It
the
helps a
field.
lot. He'll 55
He's o-
catches.
He's okay. Yeah.
Yeah. That helps.
Why?
Because
You
right
have
now
the-
they don't
but
have
you-
a guy that can do that.
You have? Yes, you do.
Who?
Kendrick Bourne can catch 55 balls.
Nah,
He has.
I'd rather
In,
he
in
has.
fact, he's already done it.
I'd rather have Cup.
Demario Douglas can catch 55 balls.
He's still on the
He's
team.
already done it.
He's still here.
So I don't
He's still here.
necessarily think that's going to greatly impact your core.
He's
But if he
qualifying
lifts
that.
up
Now it's
everyone
greatly
with
impact.
him.
No, he's just going to be another guy.
Will it impact?
Off the field, yes. On the field,
you don't
no.
think
You
He'll
don't think it'll
contribute on
trickle
the
to the field? Like
I
Kendrick
think
Bourne
he'll be
has
fine.
credited Cooper Cup with like changing the trajectory of his career,
Right,
And like
and what do
helping
you
him
think
get
of
his
that
crap
career?
together.
It's like, that's what I'm saying.
Well, probably a lot better than it would have been with whatever shenanigans he was getting into in college. Like
not
the-
knowing the plays and where to line up and whatnot. I mean, I could bring Mike back and I could go through the Kendrick Bourne preamble.
I get it.
I really
it.
like Cooper Cup. I think he was a terrific player in his prime, which was now 4 years ago when he won the Triple Crown. He has not come anywhere near that since. And I don't think that you just have 3 mediocre years and then all of a sudden have one more like Lazarus season. I don't think that that's likely. But I would be 100% yes in signing him.
I think he would be a positive impact to the offense.
I agree.
Retweet.
Not for the same reason that you do,
Okay.
but I agree.
Alex in Raleigh, North Carolina. I love living in Massachusetts for my 25 years before I got married, moved to Jersey, and now living in North Carolina. I admit I love growing up by the ocean in Mass, but North Carolina beaches
Do
give the
Oh, the
Massachusetts
Outer Banks
beaches
are-
a run
Outer Banks,
for their money.
tremendous.
North Carolina's great.
Summer
watch
in
the
North
show?
Carolina is a wonderful time, and it's very hard to beat the summer here. Everyone loves coming down to the Outer Banks,
Myself
down to
included.
Wilmington, North Carolina, and everything in between.
No notes.
I'm in.
I love North Carolina.
No notes. What does that mean, young girl?
No notes. Like that take, I have no critique of it.
Okay, without comment.
I think North Carolina's a
Cosign.
beautiful,
Cosign.
beautiful state.
Yeah, and
I
the
just
Outer
think
Banks
there's a
are really
reason
cool.
why is the cost of living so expensive in the Northeast? Because everyone wants to live here. Like to the Minnesota comment, to the Michigan comment.
Hard
like
to argue with that.
Yeah.
Do
Jeremiah.
you watch Outer Banks?
I do.
Yeah. What do
It
you
was
think?
fine.
What do you think?
It was a good show. It was fine.
Oh, that was a show.
Tremendously stupid. Love it.
Okay.
Unbelievably.
It was junk TV.
unbelievably
It was like a junk
entertainment-
show, but it was
entertaining,
good.
mindless television.
Yeah.
Where they
I
almost,
actually
the whole
watched
cast
Outer
almost
Banks.
dies every episode.
I
It's
watched
great.
the Outer Banks with my siblings in the Outer Banks on vacation with my family.
Oh, cool story, Hansel.
Thanks.
Jeremiah says, recently Rappaport reported that Cup has a strong market, and from the sound of what a bunch of insiders have been saying, it sounds more like no one wanted to trade for his contract and instead wanted to renegotiate when he hit free agency.
Well, then he didn't have a strong market.
Well, I think you're quibbling.
No, I'm not quibbling.
You're quibbling.
He was very affordable. So if no one wanted the contract, there's not a lot of interest.
I don't know. I'm just saying what Rappaport
He was
said.
going to make $20 million maximum.
That's a lot.
No, it's not.
For someone in his stage of his career, I think it is.
It's not a lot for a guy who's going to impact someone's offense, as you say he will.
No, see, now you're not being fair.
Listen,
you're not being fair.
Fred.
I know what you're doing.
Fred.
I know what you're doing.
He's been available for 3 weeks now.
Right.
And he's still available.
Yeah.
Someone's going to sign him for a very modest
I think
price.
if we were the only team interested, he'd already be signed.
He's not the only team. We're not the only team. I just told you there was a tweet. Seattle, Denver,
And I think
the
that- I
Patriots.
think
Those are
there's
the
more.
3 teams that have
I
expressed
think
interest.
there's more. I think there's more.
And I'm just telling you, if one of those more is someone like Buffalo, Kansas City, the Chargers, Green Bay, he's going to go to one of those
Okay.
places.
I'm just saying he's got a strong market. I agree with Rappaport. I agree with the insider.
I will tell you what the market was when I see the contract. If he signs for $20 million, then you're right. I don't think you will.
What if he signs for 10?
Then you didn't have a strong market. That's peanuts.
Well, I think you can.
That's less than Nelson Aguilar signed in 21.
You can sign for less than what your current contract and still have a strong market. A lot of people were interested at the right price.
That's my point. Then you're not really interested if it has to be at a price.
Well,
if you're interested, like Milton Williams, no one cared about the price.
yeah, I think you're quibbling.
That's a
Okay.
strong market.
Milton Williams is 25.
Right.
Okay, it's different, Paul, and you know it. This guy's at the end of his career.
It's different in that he's not going to get that amount of money. He's not going to get $25 million a year.
He's not going to get what his current contract was paying him. And that's the problem.
And I would argue that means that there's not a huge market for him
No,
because that's not a very big contract.
Well,
So if he doesn't get it, then people say, yeah, I'll take him at my price.
Okay, and
That's not the same as having a strong market.
but I'm saying a lot of people are saying, I'll take him at the right price.
Okay. I would just disagree that means he has a strong market.
Okay, all right.
Okay. And there at 12:57 is the Fred and Paul
Now,
semantic
you
argument
can
of the
go
week.
up. Go up. I know you want to go.
It's going to be playing.
No, but just go. Don't you want to see your people?
More.
Wow.
Where are my people?
I don't want to
Wow.
hold you back.
Wow. He just told you to just go. The last person on this show he did that to was Andy Hart in 2004.
No. That's because what did he do?
He called
He called
Corey
one of
Dillon
our
a bad
players
name.
A bad name. Yeah. On the show.
Really?
Nothing like that.
To his
like-
face?
No.
Or like,
Not like you have this look on your face like it was a scandal. No. He said something that he shouldn't have said.
mean.
Yeah, it was
that
mean.
was the
Mean,
day.
but maybe not
But
nasty.
not like
Andy was in a bad mood that day because one of his buddies plagiarized in the media.
Oh.
Remember?
no, I wasn't there.
Oh. Yeah, there was a media member who was being accused of plagiarism.
Oh, the Worcester writer.
I think, yeah.
I'm not going to say the name because
yeah,
I don't want to embarrass
I
him.
think he was out that way.
Big guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And Andy was defending him. I'm like, there's no defense for that in our industry. That's like the mortal sin.
Yeah.
Plagiarism is like killing somebody in journalism.
Mm-hmm.
You can't do that. So we were going back and forth on that, and then he was all razzled, and we got on the subject of a player, and he used a bad word to call. I said,
And not
And you
like
kicked him off the
but
show?
not
I
like
did. I
Like
said,
you're
you
kicking
know-
me off?
I just want to say it wasn't like
It
a
was during the
racial.
Super
It
Bowl,
wasn't
too.
like a racial thing or anything like
Oh,
that.
no,
It wasn't like
no,
a taboo
no.
bad
mean.
word. Yeah, it was unnecessary.
Not nice.
And Fred just goes, just go, go,
you
just
need to
go.
go. And I kicked him
Well,
off
I'm
the show.
excited
Now
about
I'm
my
getting
future
kicked
at
off.
Dyton Rehoboth.
And I was home because that was like when Will was born, so
I'll
I
tell
wasn't
you,
at that.
It's funny that we brought that up because Warren Ladd, one of our UK fans, unearthed that clip, and he said he was going to post it on YouTube, and he
What, the Dighton Rehoboth
Yeah,
clip?
he WhatsApped me. You know what WhatsApp is?
Yeah.
Young person.
Yeah, I was
sure
gonna
do.
say, before you derogatorily called her young girl.
Young guy. It was kind of funny.
He WhatsApped me and asked me, would that be okay with me if he did that? I said, I don't care. Go
Just
ahead.
make sure it's not, like, you should probably hear it first. There's some things that we've said in the past that I wouldn't feel
Might not
overly
age well.
comfortable with.
Eh.
Yeah, they don't age well. Good way to put
Different
it.
time.
That's true. It's like some of those old Seinfeld episodes that they couldn't get away with these days.
Yeah, which they should be able to,
Yeah.
but you can't.
Yeah.
So there's no sense of arguing whether or not you should be able to get away with it. You can't.
Right. Let's see. Claire. Hello, everyone. Hello, Maureen.
Hey, hello.
Quick thanks to Evan for bringing his beautiful mind on a clear perspective
Oh,
today
God, thank
to
God
do
he's not
Free
here to
Agent
hear that.
Frenzy. Big hugs to Alex. I'm sad over Jones and Wise leaving, but the David Andrews release has gutted me.
I get it.
Yep. Finally, how does a girl go about obtaining one of those surplus small-size PU shirts, please?
Oh,
Well, perhaps,
Claire should get one.
yeah, absolutely. Send Claire 2 smalls. I don't think many
Mr.
of our
Kraft is at
fans
the
are small,
podium.
so what?
Mr. Kraft is at the podium.
Up.
Oh,
All
let's
right.
go. Let's go.
Welcome, everyone. Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us today. We're here to discuss the free agent acquisitions we've made and to introduce you to these players who have signed their contract today. And I just personally, I'm very excited about what's coming, and I've been told I should calm down, but I'd be remiss if I didn't first acknowledge a departure. Today we released our two-time Super Bowl champion and one of my favorite players ever to come through our locker room, David Andrews. David's been an integral part of the Patriots for the past decade, including the past 8 years he was a captain of the team. And he was just not a leader in the locker room, but he was an outstanding individual in the community and very special. On a personal level, I was able to spend time with him, with David and his incredible wife, Mackenzie, on a trip to the Holy Land, and really got to know them very well 5 or 6 years ago. And he's just a very special guy, and it's the hard part of this business when you have to release people. But as we look ahead and we continue to build for the future, we've made some wonderful key additions to this team, and I'm happy to welcome them to the Patriot family, and actually looking forward to see the impact they're going to have, hopefully on game day. We are really committed to build a team which all of our fans can be proud of. I was saying to one of the players, I sat for the 30-odd years and went to the 4 stadiums and came here in '71. That was the first time I bought season tickets, and really, appreciate how special this team is. And I've been so honored to be able to buy an NFL team in my hometown. And so I understand what the fans want. And I'll just tell you, I'm very excited about the people we've brought in here, and I just hope we really perform come when the season starts. So I'm going to ask Elliot to come and discuss the players who have signed, and then Mike Vrabel and the players will be available as well for any questions afterwards. So Elliot, do you want to?
Well, just to echo Robert, this is an exciting time. four exciting players that we've signed are here. Harold Landry was here yesterday. We've got some guys coming in tomorrow. Josh Dobbs is coming in, Mac Hollins, Jalen Hawkins, Austin Hooper, and Kyrie's Tonga. And there's still more work to be done. Obviously, we're not finished. We still have some more needs to fill. Just wanted to echo Robert again and say thank you to David Andrews for everything, as well as Dietrich Wise, Jonathan Jones, Jacoby Brissett, who have moved on, and for all their contributions last year and over the years. Wanted to thank ownership for all their unwavering support. Anything we needed the whole time, they've been nothing but supportive to us. Working with the coaching staff, it's difficult for a coaching staff to come in. They're putting in new schemes, getting to know each other, work together, and they've all the free agents, they've bent over backwards for the personnel department to identify the free agents and other guys on teams that have been able to help us. Thank you to the pro scouting staff. Richard Miller, Nancy Meyer, Matt Groh has taken a bigger role in the contract negotiation world, and he really excelled this year so far on that, and we expect that to continue. And with that being said, just want to discuss the four guys that are here. Milton Williams, Morgan Moses, Robert Spillane, CD, Carlton Davis. Just guys that we've targeted over the years, veterans, professionals. There was definitely an emphasis on good people, good players, culture changers, difference makers, and I think these four guys really exemplify that, as well as Harold Landry, who was here yesterday, and he had to return to his family vacation. So, starting over here, CD. I was in Cleveland when CD came out in the draft. I tried really, really hard to get us to pick him, and got vetoed on that one. But ever since then, I've followed his career. When he's been available every time, we've tried to get him, and now we finally were able to make that happen, so I'm excited about that. Robert, just a tremendous story. Minicamp tryout with the Tennessee Titans, didn't have a free agent contract after the draft. Made the team, practice squad, starter, and then, had over 140 tackles each of the last 2 seasons. Morgan Moses has been a right tackle since the moment he was drafted, has played, a ton of starts, physical, tough, just a professional, very consistent run game, pass game, all that. And then Milton Williams, really has come on in the last couple years here. Excited about what he can do for us on the interior of the defensive line, pass rush, run defense. And all these guys, again, are just tremendous workers, and we couldn't be more excited that they're joining our team and what's moving forward here. So with that being said, I would like to introduce Coach Vrabel, and he's got some remarks as well. So I appreciate that.
Appreciate that, Elliot. I want to thank Robert, and Jonathan's not able to be here today, but I want to thank them on behalf of just the coaching staff, I think the personnel, and echo Elliot's comments just about the support and the commitment that they've made just in getting this process and this just being able to build a program every single day and allowing us to have the resources that we've needed to do that, to provide our players with everything that they need to be successful on and off the field. So thank you, thank you, Robert. I want to thank Elliot. I want to thank his personnel department, specifically the pro scouts and that staff that really teed it up for me and the coaches to come in and evaluate as we work through the personnel, stage and the preliminary stages of that. So, I thought they did a great job. I want to thank them. Would love to thank Nancy Meyer and Stretch for kind of coordinating everything. Everything moves pretty quick, and they kept us in line, and they kept us, they handled travel and just the communication and getting everybody here. So I want to thank them. Would love to thank Richie and Mitch and Hallie, who are going to form our player engagement department, and have been able to just meet with these families and visit and help this transition that, there's going to be some new players here. There's going to be some new faces here, and that department is critical, and we want to support them. I want to thank specifically our little free agent group, which was me, Elliott, Ryan Cowden, Matt Groh, Richard Miller, that we were firing them off left and right, just trying to get back, touch, go, pivot, because everything happens pretty quick, and that was fun, just being able to, everybody, work in a different angle, getting the contracts done, communicating on that, going to plan B, and really it was fun, and we're excited about the players that we had. And you can see that, once you get to know these players and these men, that we're going to be just as excited as them off the field as we are on the field. But I want to welcome you guys. I want to welcome you guys to our Patriot family, and I think that we were all excited about getting you as players. But then when we met in the hallway and met your families, we're even more excited to meet your support system and understand why you guys are the way you are. And we're gonna support the things and the people that are important in your life. That's what we believe in. We believe in making connections and making sure that when they come to work here, that we're doing everything that we can so that we can put the product on the field that Robert talked about. That's a championship product, and that starts by investing in people. And I'm confident that we got the right people, and then now it's our job to put them in the right places as players to get the best out of them. And so I'm excited to start that process. I guess I'll take a few questions as it relates to some of the players and what we plan on doing going forward. Karen?
Raise your hand, we'll pass the mic to you.
Come on, Karen.
In prior meetings with us, you've talked about wanting to support Drake May and protecting him with an improved offensive line. With the news of the release of David Andrews today, there now appear multiple holes to fill. Have things not gone according to plan, and are you now forced to draft for need in that area?
No, I think that there's a lot there, Karen. You mentioned David, and want to thank him. Having played at this organization, not quite as long as he had, but being here, I want to thank him for that, for being here and carrying on a tradition that so many great players before him had. We're going to continue to support, as Elliott mentioned, the needs that we feel like are on the team, and we'll target the offensive line. There's still quite a bit of time before we get to the draft. But there's also, we don't want to just be careless, right? We talked about there's a difference. We want our players to play aggressive. We don't want them to play reckless. And so we don't want to be reckless through this process. We want to be very intentional with the people that we bring on this football team. And we'll continue to target all those needs that we feel like and the players that can help us.
Thank you.
Hey Mike, with Milton Williams, there was a report that he was close to signing to another team, and I think like an hour or so later, you guys finalized a deal with him. Can you take us through the emotions of sort of that swing, and what was it about Milton that made you guys feel comfortable to give him the deal you did?
Well, I think it's always about the entire package. When you look at compensation, right, it's the body of work, it's what they're going to do for us. We always want to be able to, not rely on past performances. But that was something, there's a high ceiling and a great vision about the person, the effort, the skill set, the speed in which he plays. There's a power. So certainly there's an aggressiveness, and being able to add him to our defensive line is something that was really exciting. But you talk about the character, and hopefully we're going to be able to, I hope you want to play more than they played in Philadelphia, and I know that you guys were extremely successful, but we want to play them a little bit more than that and hope we can do that. You just try to, you do your best in a short amount of time to make a connection with the player and kind of what we are, right? We don't want to sell anything. Like, what we want to sell is just who we are. It's not, we want them to want to be here, and then if they want to be here and we want them, we'll figure out a way to make it work contractually. But we want people and players that want to be here, that want to be a part of what we're doing, and that's what these guys are, and there'll be more that come along after them.
Followed by Sophie
Hey, Mike.
Hi, Tom.
You mentioned you didn't want to be selling people, but the reality of having had 2 unsuccessful seasons and then ending up at the top of the draft, you had to make some kind of a pitch to convince guys, and we'll certainly ask them about it too, but what was your main pitch to say, hey, I know it on paper has not been positive the last 2 years, but this is what we're building? What was the main thing you were articulating to these guys and convincing them?
I mean, just who we are as people. That we're gonna care about them. We're gonna push them. About the team, right? You have to target the right player. You know, making sure that our vision and want them to help us build a program that when the players walk back in here on April 7th, that they're proud of, that they want to protect, that they call their own. You know, just what we've done and the relationships that we try to make and what we want to build the entire player around and put them in good spots. And I think we've been able to put some players, specifically Milton, put players like that in our history of coaching in good spots to be productive and make plays that can help the team win.
Hi, Mike.
Hi, Sophie.
I was just curious, there were the reports about you guys going after Chris Godwin. Obviously, he re-signed with Tampa Bay. I'm curious what your thoughts are or what your plan is at the wide receiver position and how you plan to address that, whether it's free agency or the draft.
Yeah, I'm not going to talk about any of the other players other than the ones that are right here and the ones that are currently on our football team. We'll continue to target. Matt Collins will be in here tomorrow. He's a wide receiver. You know, but we'll continue to look at the wide receiver position as it relates through free agency, explore every option with other teams, and potentially, you know, then we'll get to the point where we're looking in the draft. And there's just a lot of time, and I know that everybody's like, it's over at free agency. It's never over. And Zoe's, you know, wherever Alonzo is, I don't know, but he keeps reminding me and I think everybody else that because he's been around a lot of times. He's like, there's players that are going to come available, whether it be now or whether it be in May or after training camp. Like, it's just, he's like, I've seen it enough to know that there's going to be someone that's currently not on our roster that's going to help us win a game this year. He's not in Foxborough.
Hey, Mike. What do you remember about Robert Spillane when he first came to Tennessee as a tryout player? And just what do you think about the career that he's put together since then?
Well, I mean, he was just, you couldn't, you know, we went out to practice and he didn't make any mental errors. He was athletic. He was excellent in this open field tackling drill. Did the same thing the next day, did the same thing on Sunday. You know, it got to be a joke where we would just keep throwing him in and be like, hey, let's see if somebody can make Spillane miss. And then, you know, John Robinson and I were just like, we have to have him on the football team, and I think he's earned the right to be here based on those 3 days. And, you know, Robert may or may not share this story, but we told him, and it was on Mother's Day, and he got to call his mom, and it was, you know, it was pretty special, you know, especially for me being a young football coach or a young head coach, to be able to see a player that had earned the right. Like, we didn't hand him anything. Like, that's what we want for every single player on our team. We want them to earn everything that they get, and that was an example of what he earned his opportunity into the National Football League. So that's no surprise of the career that he's had based on how it started.
Hey, Mike, going back to Karen's question regarding David and the offensive line, as you look to build a winning culture for an 8-time captain who's been here, what made releasing him in the best interest of the team?
Well, I think we talk about leadership, and Elliott mentioned a few other players as it relates to Jonathan Jones and Dietrich Wise and you know, David. Happy for those guys that, you know, are found other places, and there would be no restriction on leadership as far as age or experience. Like, every one of our players that walks in here or our coaches can act as a leader. You know, so I think when you go through personnel decisions, there's a lot of things that we'll talk about, right? Age, ability, durability, production, vision. And so I would say that, you know, anytime we talk about personnel decisions, that those are going to be some of the things that Ellie and I will talk about.
Hey, Mike, just on the timing with David, is that Was it injury related for him? He obviously was hurt last year.
I'm not going to get into a lot of details and specifics. I want to try to, celebrate these players that we have here on this team that we're going to be moving forward with. Robert and Elliott, touched on David, but we're just trying to move forward here and continue to sign and add players that we feel like are going to help us win and really start preparing at April 7th.
Last two questions. Chris Price and Mike Reese.
Hey, Mike.
Hi.
How much, if at all, did maybe the previous feeling of familiarity you have with some of these guys, not just you, but the extended coaching staff have in terms of?
I don't know how you could do free agency any differently. Like, I really don't. Just the timing that's involved with a lot of this stuff. It's important to me, and Robert's trusted Elliott and myself to bring the right people onto this football team. And so if we have coaches that we trust and believe in and have been with players, we have to take that into consideration. If there's players that Elliott or anybody else in the personnel department have had, or myself, I think that's critical. We have to evaluate the tape. That's the first thing we do. Like, we watch the tape, and then it's what is this person? Who are we going to get every single day? Because there's going to be times in every football season that it's not going well. And I've seen it from these players that they're not going anywhere. And the other ones that we bring in, and the other ones that are down in that locker room right now. Like, they're resilient. They're not going to back down when things aren't bad. They can handle adversity. They'll attack adversity. So that's what the idea is. And it really helps when you know somebody or a coach or a trusted personnel member has been with that player. It's just hard. It's important.
Last question, Mike Reese.
Mike, how do you view Carlton's skill set and how it pairs with Christian, unlocking what you might be able to do defensively? And
hopefully we can just play cat coverage. Like, you got that cat, I got this cat, and we can go to work. So just an aggressive I would say the thing I appreciate about watching CD is that they may catch a ball on him, and he just lines back up, and he competes, and he challenges, and he tries to play aggressive, and there's a play style that we embrace. And so corners that's a tough position in the National Football League, right? And so they're going to have passes that are caught on them. It's can they line back up the next snap and challenge and compete and get their hand on the next football. And that would be, I would say, outside of his physical skill set, is the mental makeup.
And Morgan, we didn't ask you.
You get a follow-up now? Everybody else had a follow-up.
I just want to touch on Morgan only because the four guys are here.
Yep.
And we didn't touch
Go
on
ahead,
him.
Mike.
What does he bring?
Well, I think just a great veteran leadership. Tell us a funny story. After we were able to commit, we were able to have a conversation, and so I FaceTimed him with the boys. He's got 3 boys, 2 are here, you'll see. But they were all eating candy, and I said, oh, you guys are lucky, this is celebrating. He goes, don't worry, I'll have them out there working, training at 4 o'clock after we get done eating all this candy. And I'm like, man, can you just let them have a good time today? And he's like, nope, they're going out training at 4 o'clock, and that's what we're going to do. So there's been a repeated experience of taking care of his body, playing a demanding position, what he brings in the locker room. But again, there's been a great product on the field with length, size, and we were excited to add him and his family. Thank you, guys. And with that, I would now want to introduce CD Carlton Davis.
No applause in here? Nobody clapping? No? How y'all doing?
Raise your hand and we'll go to questions. Sophie Roll in the front row.
Hi, Carlton. Welcome to New England.
How you
I
doing?
was just curious. Elliot talked about how you were always someone who he wanted to draft you, and then he wanted to pick you up. What's it like to hear that, and what was kind of that final motivation for you to come to New England?
It's always good to be wanted, especially in this league. I didn't know that that was a story behind it, but it's always good to be wanted in this league, and part of the decision of me coming here was, them prioritizing me and being able to, just get me here. Obviously I was in Detroit, and we had a great season last year, but ultimately, just being somewhere where you feel prioritized, and going somewhere where you are familiar with Terrell Williams, and I've always been a fan of Mike and how he ran Tennessee. So that was part of the decision, and I'm happy to be here.
Hey, Carlton. Just what were your impressions of Terrell Williams last year in Detroit?
He was a real cool dude. He wasn't quiet. He wasn't loud. Always gave great presentations when it came to our defensive meetings. One of the best D-line coaches in the NFL. And, we always had like a respect relationship where he understood what I brought to the game. And, it's always good when you get a good coach like that to, give you respect and acknowledge what you do. So, I wasn't there for too long, so I can't write a book about it. But obviously, I gave a good impression on him, and he had a good impression from me.
Hi, Carlton. Congratulations. How do you feel about Christian Gonzalez, and how do you feel about teaming up with him in the secondary?
I'm excited, man. I'm excited. He's a young, great player. I've watched his film even when he was coming out of college. Watch his film. I always kind of do a little background check on the corners coming in the league. I guess it's a competitive thing, but I liked his film. He's long, he's rangy, got good ball skills. He had a really good year last year, in my opinion. I didn't watch too many Patriots defensive tapes, but from what I've seen on the highlights, he looked like he was playing good ball. And I'm always eager to match up or just kind of team up with guys who has similar skill sets as me and can help push me in practice, and I could push him in practice. And, it's always the iron that sharpens iron. So I'm excited for that. I'm excited to get to practice with him, get to know him a little bit, pick his brain, just kind of see how we can help each other grow. Nope.
And Carlton, I know that you were teammates with Tom Brady. He's still a big deal around here.
Yeah.
What do you remember about your time playing with him?
Man, Tom was a great guy. I was just telling somebody earlier today that I learned so much from him, and I didn't even have too many conversations with him, but just how he carried himself, how he went about the game. He impacted us on the field and off the field in Tampa, just from not just how serious he took practice and how focused he was, but also how diligent he was in his recovery, everything he did to continue to be the same guy every day, taking care of his body. And he would give us little tips on what to do, and, just how to be a professional and how to be successful in this league and in this game. So I'm always thankful for having to share a locker room with him and having to win games and win a championship with him. I learned so much, and I'm just grateful for the opportunity.
Chris Price?
Carlton, we heard Mike talk a little bit about the pitch to the free agents. What was the pitch like for you in your experience, talking to him, talking to Elliott, and what ultimately sealed the deal for you here in New England?
I would say me being a priority and, also being able to come here and, do something historical here in a historical place. Like I said, I've always been a fan of Mike, even down in Tennessee. And, with Big T coming here and being a DC and, just knowing how he was as a coach, understanding the room I was coming into, the talent I could play with, and just the ability to be able to come somewhere and build something and come somewhere and start a legacy was big for me. In Detroit, I had a good run with them. I can't lie. I had a good season with them, and it was a lot of fun with those guys. But ultimately, I wanted to be somewhere where I felt like I was a priority. Be somewhere where I felt like I could come here and build, and I could be a leader. And not to say I wasn't a leader there, but I wanted to be somewhere that appreciated me and my family and made me feel welcome. not to throw any shade, because I know how I like to twist things up, and I love Detroit. I would never want to throw no shade. The 3-1-3, we had a great year, and I know how this goes. But like I said, man, in this league, there's a short time here, and you want to make it really efficient. And coming here, I understand the opportunity here. I understand it's a rebuild. I understand that there's great coaches here, and Detroit has a great thing going, but I feel like we can have a great thing going here.
Last question, Andrew Kelly.
Hey, Carlton, welcome to New England. I wanted to ask you about the time you played here. Described it as a historical place. Obviously, Tom came back that night in 2021.
Yeah.
Did a tackle, pass breakup. What do you remember about the environment and your one game here in New England?
It was a crazy environment. One thing I do remember, I tore my quad here, so not something that I want to remember, but I was having a good game up until then, and the environment was electric. I had never played here before, and I didn't know how it would be coming here, but it was like really vibrant. Everybody was just, obviously Tom's coming back, so why wouldn't it be? But it definitely impressed me. The crowd was so into it, and it was like the lights just seemed a little bit brighter. I don't know why. That day it seemed a little bit brighter. But, I was impressed. The crowd was really into it. You could feel the love of football in the city. I guess it helps that Tom came back, and he hadn't been back since he left. But, yeah, I was impressed.
Thank you very much. Morgan Moon, you're next.
Thank you.
Raise your hand if you have questions. We'll get a mic to you. Mike, please.
Right here in the middle.
Yes, sir.
Let's start with how the kids respond to that workout at 4.
They know if I got to work out, they got to pull their own pockets too. So it's part of being in the family business. So I try to raise men at home. I didn't have that when I was growing up that much. So being able to give that to them is vital to my DNA. So just being able to have boys and show them the way has always been my DNA.
And a follow-up, what is it about this opportunity that appealed to you?
Obviously, playing a lot of ball over the course of my career, going in year 12, man, obviously the historic, the history of being a Patriot. And obviously, man, I know the question is coming about, what was the pitch of coming here? But when you got a guy like Coach Vrabel, man, you don't need a pitch, man, because I know how it is to hold the bag for our offensive line and D linemen out there at practice when I'm holding my son's bags or I'm coaching his team, and it hurts when you don't got pads on. So, for a guy like that to go out there and do that, and obviously he's won in multiple facets of his career, as a player and as a coach. So when you got a guy a leader of men that's willing to step aside and put himself on the line for the better good for the team, it's an easy decision.
Mike Giardi.
Morgan, it's a very young room right now. I know there's still work that can be done to fill the room. You're the quote unquote the old guy, the veteran guy. How can
OG.
I like this. Yeah, I refer to myself. How can you help those guys?
It's been part of my DNA, man. I had great vets when I came into the league as Trent Williams and guys like that. And, one thing he always told me as a player coming up through this league, man, make sure you pass it down. And that's been a part of me. Obviously I had, last year I had Olu, who was a first-round draft pick, young guy, and he played multiple positions for us last year. So being able to take him and obviously just not take him and show him the way, because obviously there's certain things that he's done in college that I didn't get to do because the game has evolved so much. You wind up learning yourself, and that's the thing is like when you're competing, whether it's in any facet of life, when you get able to teach somebody and show them things and you're able to learn in that room, it makes everybody better because that guy behind you is getting better every day. So you can't be a complacent player and be that same person. You got to show up every day and make yourself better. So when you have that mentality for a room, especially for our offensive line, because we operate, as one, 5 equals 1,
we never leave the field. You know, those are the two positions, quarterback and offensive line. We never leave the field. We're always on the field. We can't raise our hand and say, hey, coach, we need a water break. So it's very important for us to be able to work together, you know, not even on the field, but off the field as well, getting to know each other, you know, dinners and things like that, because I truly believe, you know, if you don't know your brothers off the field, how can you go to battle with them on the field? So bringing that mentality as an older guy in the locker room and just bringing guys along and showing them the way, it's going to be a great deal for us.
Hi, Morgan. Congratulations. 11 NFL seasons. What has allowed you to stay healthy, to stay productive, you know, after 11 years?
I would say the biggest thing is just not staying complacent. You know, being able to come in and learn different techniques, being willing to learn different techniques. And, you know, obviously, over my career, I've had great coaches. I had Bill Callahan when I was young in the league, and obviously he taught me a lot. And obviously, you know, his name rings bells throughout the league as offensive line. But also having veterans, man. You know, last year I was with Tyron Smith, so I got to learn a lot of things from him. You know, future Hall of Famer. I was with Trent Williams. I was with Donald Penn. So when you get to take a little bit of, you know, knowledge from everybody else and mix it in your own mixing bowl and come up with your own recipe, that's what you get. You get longevity in the NFL and just being able to take care of your body. Just know what you need. You know, not every time you can go in the weight room and throw 400 pounds on the bench and bench press. Some days you need, you know, you might need Pilates, you might need yoga, you might have to sprinkle some things in just so, you know, just kind of just knowing your body and just learning your own regimen, fine-tuning things, but just being a professional every day coming in, you know, even the days that you don't want to come in, you know, those when you get down to the work, you know, those are your best days. When you come in those days you're a little sore and you don't feel like practicing, but you got a guy like Milton that's not going to slow down, you know what I'm saying, because he's still hungry, so he's going to challenge you every day. So that's what you want in those trenches, you know, like CD said, you know, iron sharpen iron, and that's what we building here. We just not building a team, we building a brotherhood.
Two final questions, Andrew Callahan and Tom Kerr.
Morgan, welcome to New England.
Appreciate that. You
talk about your regimen from a specific diet and training standpoint. What can you give us some details about what's allowed you to keep playing at a high level at 34?
You know, obviously, you know, being in the trenches, man, you're always gonna get banged up. You know, last year I dealt with a knee injury from week 3 on, man, and you know, just, you know, sleeping in the hyperbaric chamber, getting up early mornings, 5 o'clock to go into the facility to make sure, you know, the trainers see you doing your thing. And just, you know, obviously, you know, not every day you're gonna feel well to be able to do everything. So, you know, watching that tape, you know what I'm saying? And obviously being a guy that's going to year 12, I've never been scared to ask a younger guy or a coach, you know, what can I do better? You know, so every day just coming in with something to get, you know, everybody thinks that this jump in the NFL, you got to go from A to Z right here. But I want to go to A to B and then go to Z. You know, as long as I stay at A, it doesn't matter. As much time as I stay at A, as long as I know when I leave A that I've completed that and I don't have to go backwards, I know I'm in the right steps. So it's really just 1 inch at a time, man. You know, just taking time, learning ball, and obviously, you know, we got a young, talented quarterback back there. So being able to pick his brain, understand him, understand what he sees on the field, so I can be better in my approach and blocking for him. You know, and obviously being in the league for a while. You know, I've seen a lot of things, you know, obviously, you know, defenses, they all run the same defense, just different personnel. You're never going to have 2 in the same gap. So just being able to share that knowledge and that football IQ with him, you know, to help raise his game is going to make us a lot better.
Tom Kerr, last question.
Hey, Morgan, back here.
Got you, sorry.
How are you? How important is it to this collective group of free agents to kind of, as a group, instill a culture and a sense of urgency, I guess? I mean, Mike came here in 2001 as part of a free agent group from a team that wasn't that good the year before, and then things really flipped because a lot of the guys who were brought in worked together, it seemed, in helping to instill a culture. Do you guys take that kind of maybe collective responsibility?
You know, you don't need a miracle to win football games. You know, you just need the right people in the building. And obviously with Coach Vrabel's here, you know, we got the right people, you know. Our owner's an amazing owner, and then obviously, you know, we got guys that's, you know, CD won a Super Bowl, Milton just won a Super Bowl. They're going to bring knowledge of the game on how to be longevity through those weeks of week 18, 19, 20, when it hurts, right? When people want to tap out, how to keep going. And so, you know, it's important for us to be able to learn from one another, and everybody has different qualities. You know, Robert, he told, you know, 8 years in the league as a free agent without a tryout, you know, and he come in here and now he's 140 tackles, 2 years in a row. That doesn't happen overnight. That's preparation. That's dog. That's brotherhood. That's mentality. That's somebody that comes in the building every day to learn. So guys are going to get around these guys, and we're going to talk football. We're going to talk IQ. We're going to talk brotherhood. We're going to learn about each other off the field and on the field. So when we get on the field, nothing that comes at us, no adversity that touches us on the field is going to be able to break us, because we're going to have an unbelievable bond. And so when we run out to that tunnel on Sundays, Mondays, and Thursday, you're going to see something different. You're going to feel something different, because we're going to go out there as a one unit, and we're going to play football together.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Appreciate y'all.
Robert Spillane.
How's it going?
How are you?
Good.
All right, no questions.
All right, thank you.
Mike Reese.
Yes, sir.
Your growth the last 2 years as a player, what do you attribute that to?
I have this saying, I always say it doesn't happen by accident. It doesn't happen overnight. This has been years in the making, years of intentional actions throughout every day, living my life a certain way to try to get to where I am right now.
Hey, Robert, welcome to New England.
Thank you.
What was it about playing with Mike Vrabel that made this an appealing spot for you?
I've known Coach Vrabel from a young age, from high school when he was a recruiter at Ohio State. Always admired his playing career and his coaching career. When you get around a guy like Coach Vrabel, you really feel that intensity, you feel that passion, and I like to say I fall into that same boat of intensity and passion and heart. And so I've gotten along with him great in Tennessee, and I can't wait to continue to form that relationship.
Robert, looking at your tape, one thing that jumps out is the fact that you were always getting your hands on passes. And I'm curious, what goes into your preparation process, and what do you attribute to being able to make so many plays like that on the field?
Yeah, quite a few different things. One of the things I study on the field is spatial awareness, so I like to know where I am on the field without having to open my eyes. So I do a lot of eyes closed training to be better spatially aware of where I'm going without having to look. I attribute the ball skills to playing offense, growing up as an offensive player, a running back, a receiver, always playing catch every single day. You'll see me out at practice 20, 30 minutes early just because I love getting my hands on the football. That's how you're going to essentially change the outcome of games. Getting interceptions, forcing the ball out, getting PBUs, TFLs, giving guys a chance like CD to go make plays on 3rd and long. So I pride myself on that.
Hey, Robert, what do you want Patriots fans to know that they can expect from you as a player and a person?
Yeah, I want the Patriot Nation to know that I'm going to pour my heart into this city, into this community, into this team. I care deeply about what I do. I bring passion and heart everywhere I go. I'm just so excited to get my feet in the building, get started, get to know the guys. Before the guys want to hear what you have to say, you got to make sure they feel like you care for them. So I want to make sure that my teammates know that I'm not here trying to get them. I just want what's best for them at the end of the day. So I'm going to pour my heart into my teammates.
You probably heard Coach Vrabel mention when you got a spot on the Titans roster in 2018, and I imagine this contract that you just signed probably life-changing in a different way. Just putting those two things together, how would you describe your emotions?
Yeah, well, Coach Vrabel said I got hired in 2018 on Mother's Day, and I got to call my mom in tears saying I'm going to be a professional football player. And today is her birthday, so I'm signing the contract on her birthday, and she's a very important, special woman in my life, and I just want to make her proud. Thank
you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Congratulations, Bill. So the report was you're close to signing with Carolina. You're here now. Can you take us sort of the emotions of that? Did you think you were about to sign a piece of paper to be a Carolina Panther?
It was a fast process. My agent was telling me teams were interested. You know, once a number got to a certain point, a lot of teams like dropped out, and the Patriots were the one that wanted me the most. So I made it a priority to come here. They made me a priority, and they value what I bring to the table as far as being a versatile player on the D-line, a leader, a hard worker, and yeah, they believed in me, so I'm gonna try to give it back to them as much as I can.
Chris Price in the front row.
Milton, welcome to New England.
Appreciate it.
What's the most important thing that you learned over the course of your career in Philadelphia, and how do you plan on kind of putting it to use moving forward?
Hard work will never betray you in anything. You know, you put your head down and work at something, you're gonna end up being successful at it. So throughout my life, everything I've gotten has not been a handout. I had to go above and beyond all expectations to get everything that I've earned to this point. So I'm just blessed to be here, blessed to have the opportunity to represent such a winning organization. You know, you feel it once you come through these doors, and you know, the standard that Mr. Kraft and Coach Vrabel that they set, you feel that. So I just want to try to continue to do that and build this team up to bring more championships.
Sophie Weller and Doug Hyde in the front row.
Hi, Milton. Congratulations again.
Appreciate it.
I was just curious, you're a part of Patriots history now, having, I believe, signed the biggest contract in franchise history. Just what does that mean to have an organization like respect you in that way, to want to reward you with something so big and history-making?
Yeah, that's a blessing, man. I just won Super Bowl a couple weeks ago, so I thought that was like the biggest day of my life. But I feel this probably gonna jump that for sure. You know, being known as the highest average salary or whatever, however you want to call it, that's big, man. You know, like I said, they believed in me. Obviously, they studied me as a player and as a person. They know what I bring to the table: physicality, toughness. Determination, and you know, I thrive on people telling me I can't do something, so bring it on.
Doug Hyde in front row.
Milton, congratulations. Coach Vrabel was talking about him wanting to play you more than you played in Philadelphia. How would you feel about that, and is that exciting for you?
Definitely. The more you're out there, the more opportunity you got to make plays, and I pride myself on being productive from wherever I line up on the defensive line. And you know, I'm gonna bring that here.
Taylor Kyles, then Phil Perry.
Milton, you broke out last year as a pass rusher, but also you've done some dirty work as a run defender. How important is it to you to be a well-rounded player, and what goes into that process of being that kind of well-rounded figure?
I just want to be known as do it all, versatile Swiss Army knife. Like I said, line up anywhere and be productive from any spot. Run, pass. If I got to drop in coverage, I feel like I can do that. Wherever they need me to be, whatever they need me to do, I'm ready. I'm ready for the challenge. And what goes into that is just like I said, you know, hard work. Obviously, with great coaches. You know, he played this game a long time. Now he's coaching, so I'm gonna be picking his brain a lot. Coach T, and then the players here. You know, find the vets. You know, pick their brain. I did a lot of that in Philadelphia with Brandon Graham. Javon Hargrave, Josh Sweat, Derek Barnett. These guys, you know, they took me under their wing, taught me how to take care of my body, and just going to practice and getting better every single day. And, you know, that leads to winning games, winning playoff games, and Super Bowls. So that's all I know.
Phil Perry.
Hey, Milton, if you are asked to play more snaps, how will you try to maintain the level that you showed in Philadelphia while still being on the field a little bit more?
Putting in work. Putting in work. It's plain and simple. Extra work. Asking the coaches whatever I need to do to make sure I'm available for every game. Sunday, like you said, Sunday, Monday, Thursday. I want to be out there. I want to be out there representing my teammates, this organization. And, yeah, like, I ain't going to leave no stone unturned when it comes to preparing
being healthy, being in the best shape that I can be in, and being out there and being productive.
Last question, Karen Green.
Hi, Milton. You're just coming off winning a Super Bowl, your first. During that ride, what did you learn about what it takes to win a Super Bowl?
Resilience, togetherness. Well, Coach Sirianni used to say, you can't be great without the greatness of others, and knowing that this is a team game. It's not about any individual, and just being together as one. You know, like he was saying, like Moses was saying, just having that brotherhood and building that bond. You know, off the field, I feel like that carries on onto the field, and you go out there and you play for one another even harder once you get to know them and get to know their families and why they do what they do. So, yeah, I learned that a lot in Philadelphia from coaches, players. Yeah, obviously they've been a winning organization. So coming over here is probably going to be the same thing.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
We'll bring the 7 of you up here for photo op. Evan, if you can have your crew kind of help with the podium. You guys can either stay seated.
All right. Are we back? We are back here in studio. It's Paul, it's Alex, Evan and Deuce will be coming back. Perhaps we'll have a guest stop in at some point, but let's go.
Can I put a request
Let's go.
Can I put a request in for the guest?
Yeah, go ahead.
Can we get Morgan Moses? Because I think I might need a new life coach.
Elliot, if you're listening to me or our crack PR staff, we're requesting Morgan Moses.
Like I told you on Tuesday, he was my favorite signing.
No,
I'm doubling down on that.
I have some questions for him.
He's my favorite signing, and man, is he impressive to listen to.
Yeah, a lot of wisdom.
He's great, and when I
Group
want
photos happening right now if you just want to.
Yeah, I know that.
Oh yeah, there you go.
So
Look
we
at
can
that.
see that in the background.
So those of you putting numbers down, Milton Williams, 97.
What are they going to do
Robert
next year when they
Spillane,
only
14?
sign one guy?
Oh, Fred.
Well, they're not going to have the cap space next year that they have this year.
I know. That's sort of stuff that we talk about maybe off air.
I'm just being funny. Anyway.
Funny.
Anyway, no, but this was a good crew that they brought up there. I mean, listen, I don't know these guys personally, but
no,
from
first
what people-
Impressive first
but
impressions, for
yeah,
sure.
what people are saying about them in this first impression, they seem like character guys and great additions to the locker room. And don't underestimate that. With a new head coach here, trying to, reverse what's happened over the last 4 or 5 years, that's not an easy job if you don't have guys who you can trust in the locker room to carry your message and to set the tone. And, you mentioned Morgan Moses. Number one, I think. He comes in, he's obviously the elder statesman on the line. He's 34 years old. But I think also in terms of just knowledge of the craft, character, I'm hoping, and one of the things I would ask him if he's here, are you ready to accept that role? Are you ready to come in here?
He seems like a guy who's going to take ownership of that room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we need that. We need that. So I'm excited about him. I'm excited about all of them, frankly.
Listening to him, and this is what his profile said, which is why I was so high on the signing in the first place. But listening to him makes me a little bit less anxious about the departure of David Andrews. Because what I was worried about was exactly that.
Yep.
And again, you're right. We just met these guys, just first impressions. I would say that based on how he sounded, he's a guy that is not afraid to lead, not afraid to, talk about the importance of being the 5 guys as one and all those things that Dante preached for years and years here.
Yep.
Very impressive to listen to.
I really like the stoicness about him too. It just. Like I said, it seems like he has a lot of wisdom. He's been in this league a long time, a lot of experience. It's going to be great.
No, and you talked, Alex, earlier about, Andrew's participation in the community. Sounds like every one of these guys are going to be out there.
Yeah.
You'll be running into a lot of these guys at different events.
We can only hope, right?
I mean, Bobby Spillane, I think.
Yeah.
Bobby.
You know, he seems like he's ready to do it today.
He looks like a company guy with a polo, the
I know.
hat.
You see all these
He's ready
guys,
to
these
go.
big guys come up. And
They got the
looks like the
Gucci
guy-
on.
yeah,
They
he
got
He
the
looked like the guy who
glasses.
organized it for the team.
Right. It's like, why did the guy from Food and Beverage get up
Listen,
there?
lunch pail guy.
But you could
Lunch
tell.
pail and work
You
boots.
could tell he's a high
Terrific
motor
athlete.
guy.
I'm fired up.
Yep. He's.
I told you, this is the kind of guy that I've been talking about for a long time. Now, I don't know if Robert Spillane is going to be the guy, but I like the profile of these like smaller, more athletic, lighter linebackers that can make plays in both the run game and pass game. We'll see if he does it with the Patriots, but I just think the way that the league has sort of trended over the last 10 years or so is, these big run stuffing, plug the A gap, hit the fullback, and, Ted Johnson types.
Yeah.
Kind of like a thing of
And
yesteryear.
And really competitive, a lot of fire, works hard to get everything that he has. There's the guy in the Cavaliers. I love him. Who's the guy? Their best
player, Donovan Mitchell.
Mitchell, he is such a competitor. He and
Spider.
you see during breaks he's firing up his teammates. I see Spillane like that type of guy, in a good way.
Like a sicko in a good way.
Yeah, not like in an Aaron Rodgers way. Like in a good way, positively. Let's go. Always in their face, giving words of encouragement, making sure people are into the game as much as he is. I see him as a real positive force on that defense. So this is great. Good stuff. And we had Landry yesterday. He left town. He had to go, but some really good signings.
Yeah.
And yes, I know, I see the emails. A lot of people, they didn't get the left tackle. They didn't get the wide receiver yet. There's a long way to go. As Vrabel said, and he quoted Alonzo Highsmith, there's going to be people who will become available, and then you're going to have to fight to get them, because if they're good, they have a big market like Cooper Kupp has. A lot of people will be going after them, not just the Patriots. He didn't. No reaction. He's
not paying attention.
He's
to us.
engrossed in his texting.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I would just say, there are going to be more players available. I agree with Alonzo Highsmith. I disagree that you're likely to get a player who just becomes available who is an impact player, unless it's a trade for someone,
right?
Big time.
Yep. That
something happens, like I used as an example, A.J. Brown. That would be an impact guy. Generally, at this time, you're going to get sort of the leftovers in the transactions, which is okay. And I would also say, and this has sort of been bugging me a little bit since Monday when they made all these moves, the whole where's the left tackle, where's the wide receiver. The Patriots had upwards of 12 to 15 significant needs on the roster. Is it really realistic that you fill every single one of them in year one?
No.
That's fans will not be satisfied unless every single player is
Because it's the Twitter
new.
narrative.
Well, that's great, but
It's
what
the
about?
Twitter narrative.
But what about? But what about?
And listen, I'm not telling you that this was an A+ free agent class. I don't think it is. I would say like a C+, B-. But they did a lot of good things on Monday, and I think that they've gone from a bad team to a potentially average one.
Yeah,
that's a huge jump.
I give it a B+ because I'm also factoring.
I'm fine with that.
I'm also factoring in again the locker room stuff.
Yeah,
I think
for
it's
sure.
important this first year. We've got to flip the culture.
Oh, hello.
We've got to get this locker room to grow up, and I think this is a step to having a grown-up locker room.
I love
Mike
it.
Deuce, you just came from it.
I was there.
What do you say?
I love what you were just saying.
you've
though.
seen?
That's I wasn't trying not to be seen. I was staying in the back. I think Evan's still up there trying to be seen, but. No, I love what you just said, Fred. I walked in on that. It's just, and Moses, to me.
Yeah.
We were all talking about the same thing.
Believe me, I've already taken my victory.
Really? All right,
lap.
cool. Well, no, see, this is what I kind of like. This is sometimes on the post-game show, Paul and I will watch the game in different locations, usually in the pregame or the preseason. But, you guys have reactions and then separate and you bring them together. But I just impressed with Moses. I thought this is what this team needs, this kind of steadiness and, his talk about brotherhood. And, I thought they were all in line with what Vrabel's message has been, preaching about getting to know each other as people and, valuing their families and, getting to know those people who are all with them and had their own, separate section that they were all sitting in as well. Carlton Davis, a little quiet, a little cool, kind of cornerback vibe to me, short memory. Robert Spillane seemed a little nervous, but you can tell that
But
that
energy.
guy,
Little psychotic.
no, he's got to hold it back because you can tell he's like, I'll hit somebody right
He's
now. if
ready
you
to
want me
go. Yeah.
He's ready to go.
Like people have described him as he plays with his hair on fire.
Yeah.
Evidently, he lives his life
He
with
lives
his
his
hair on
life-
fire.
I know. He's like, I'm trying to keep it calm right now. And my last thought with Milton Williams is like, we got a dog to go hunt some quarterbacks now. Like he seemed like a serious dude. He doesn't seem to be resting on any laurels. Yeah, those two guys.
Bring them out. Be my
Serious. And I mean, I'd say kind of with all of them, but especially Moses and Milton Williams. If you're a fan of defense, this is the kind of personality that you want from these kind of guys to come out and so it's good. It's just these. It happens every spring. This is very re-energizing, and you get these new personalities onto the team, and you have such high hopes for them and of what they can be. But at the moment, I think they're all hitting the right tone of what this team needs right now, as far as what they're going to bring. And I thought that was consistent message. Whether it was Robert up there, Elliott, Vrabel, they all kind of were saying the same thing. So yeah, it was good. It was good.
Yep. Bill in San Diego wants to be the wet rag. Did anyone else get the same "I didn't choose New England, they chose me" vibe from both Davis and Williams? It didn't sound like either really wanted to be here, and if another offer had been equal or better, they'd have signed elsewhere.
So with Williams, he did specifically say something to the effect of the Patriots wanted me the most.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now, if you want to take that as a negative, I guess I'm not here to tell you how you should feel. I didn't take that as a negative.
Yeah.
I didn't, I felt like the Patriots identified someone.
Sometimes you're more appreciative to the team that wants you the most.
But I felt like the Patriots identified someone who was the most attractive, let's call him one of the three most attractive candidates in free agency, right? That was out there. The Patriots identified him and they went after him.
Yep.
They wanted him.
Yeah.
They didn't middle it. They didn't do the Red Sox thing where they express interest and become the interest kings. They went after a guy that they wanted and they made sure they got him because they wanted him the most.
Also, these
Showed
guys
them love.
make so much money that, like, at the end of the day, like, unless an offer is far and wide, like, way, way, way more than they're going to get anyone else, like, is the money that big of a detail if you hate a place so much?
Yeah,
I guess I'll go.
I don't know about the hate part. I do think that the Patriots offered him far and away the most money. Because I think that there's a reason why he almost or was linked to Carolina.
Right.
I think the Patriots swooped in and blew him away.
Yeah.
But
that
no
doesn't
matter
mean
what,
that doesn't mean it's bad.
No matter what, like, they're getting generational wealth.
Right.
Wherever they probably
sure.
end
These
up.
it's
like,
life-changing. Yeah. After listening, this is Joel in San Antonio. After listening to the new guys talk and agreeing that they are high character guys, where were these high character guys last year when Mayo was building his team? Is this another failure by him? Okay, so it's a fair question. And I think Vrabel, well, I don't know if he addressed it, but it's been addressed. Like, they didn't have the network that Vrabel has in Terrell Williams and
They chose to do it in a different way.
right. And they don't, but they didn't have the.
They wanted their culture, their character. They wanted to say it's going to be all the guys that are here, and they decided to re-up them all.
Right.
They went with what they knew and they felt like they could rely on. I just don't think. I think it's very easy to use the words character and culture and that stuff. Do you think Dan Campbell has established a great culture in Detroit?
Yes.
What do you think the Patriots' record last year, and if Dan Campbell was the head coach, would have been?
That first year?
Yeah. Last year,
5 wins.
4. Okay.
Yeah.
I would have said 4-13.
Yeah.
Okay. Culture and character and all that is very important, but it doesn't mean anything if you don't have any ability.
Yeah.
So they identified a bunch of guys last year that they thought would be their character guys. I think some of them were a little past their primes. Some of them, quite frankly, didn't live up to it. And I would say, like a guy like Kyle Duggar had a rough year. I don't know if it was injury related or not. He didn't play as well as they sort of hoped he would, right? Those kinds of plays in and around. They didn't attack free agency like this. The Patriots right now went out and got, as Fred said on Tuesday, 5 starters in free agency. The Patriots didn't attack free agency last year like that. They chose to re-up a lot of what they had. 2 totally different philosophies, but I think they both wanted character.
Yeah.
In
But
culture.
Do you think the reason why last year they did it the way they did is because they couldn't do it this way? Vrabel said, I don't see
Well, I
any
think
other
they
way
could
that
have.
you
I
can
think they-
attack free agency unless you have that familiarity with guys.
Yeah, I think they could have if they wanted to. They chose not to.
Yeah.
That's my choice. Now,
Yeah.
I know that Elliott is sort of thrown some shade on that from last year, saying like, we didn't get great intel or something along those lines at the combine when he spoke with you guys, Mike. I think they could have done. I think they chose not to. Now, maybe they chose not to because of what Fred said. They just didn't have enough knowledge on those guys to invest big money. But, I think they tried to. I think they tried to get Calvin Ridley. I think they tried to explore a trade for Brandon Ayuk. I think they tried to get Christian Wilkins. They weren't able to put him in. These guys were able to bring him in.
Yeah. I think the connection to Vrabel, too, seems like it carried some weight. That was what Morgan Moses said about immediately pointing out this guy's ready to come out, put the pads on, and mix it up with us. Same thing with Spillane. I didn't know if he was going to cry or just run through a wall at that moment, but you could tell how grateful
I said when he was done,
it
was like Disney movie vibes on that one.
right. I'm just going to pour my heart into the city.
I'm going to call my mother on Mother's Day and tell me I got a job.
Now it's his mother's birthday.
That's a great story.
It's a great story, and these guys just are all. And it's hard to say because a lot of
awesome.
players can come up.
I
and
thought it
present
was awesome,
themselves
and
well.
me, I'm like a cynical
Hater.
Not a
Yeah.
hater, but I'm cynical.
Yeah, but they all come off like what they are, which is NFL veterans who played football. Two of the guys have won championships. You heard Morgan Moses rattle off all the different tackles that he's played with over the course of his career that are all, Hall of Fame type players. So I just think that experience and that's what has to come in. It's a weird spot to be in. You're so used to having all the guys who won the Super Bowls already here. And now we're talking about, we got two guys coming in who are just have won Super Bowls recently. It's a little bit of a different position to be in, but it's a good one. And I think it's what they need.
I want to go back to something Paul said, and I agree. Character without talent isn't going to get you much.
Sure.
You're not going to, But I will also say that you can have a locker room full of talented guys, and if they're bad character guys, that place can go south.
You're not going to be as good as you should be.
Right.
You're going to underachieve. I would agree with that as well, Fred.
Yeah.
You need both.
You need both. And I think last year, not that they were bad character guys.
No.
But there was a lot of immaturity, I think, and not a lot of leadership.
Like I think a lot of those guys were good character guys. They
Yeah.
weren't good enough players.
Right.
It's kind of my point. Like I don't think that Jonathan Jones is a bad character guy, or David Andrews, or
yeah.
Dietrich Wise. They just weren't good enough.
Yeah.
At this stage of their career.
Yeah. And I think you got the sense with that team, though, was that never did they reach a point where they were all pulling together. It was a lot of different factions pulling in different directions, and maybe some groups were tight, but other groups didn't seem tight. And I think that's a challenge of the coaching staff to bring those guys together and all get them to work together. And that's a lot of what you heard today up there from them.
Yep.
Good stuff.
Good time to pay some bills.
Oh, good for you, Fred.
I know we're coming up on another weekend without football, so why not spend the off-season getting organized with Bob's Discount Furniture? Shop Bob's and revamp every room with smart storage solutions like the Beaumont bedroom set featuring built-in drawers for all your Patriots gear, or the customizable modular Bob's sectional, which now includes hidden storage consoles for all of blankets, remotes, and that football you practice throwing when no one's looking. So stock up on winning storage styles with Bob's Discount Furniture, the official furniture store of the New England Patriots. And Patriots Unfiltered is sponsored by the Massachusetts 250 campaign, commemorating a history of possibility. Plan your revolutionary weekend at massachusetts250.org because Massachusetts is better than Michigan. That's my own tagline.
Tied it all together.
That's not their
And on that note, I'm gonna go to the studio. You guys have a good
Okay.
show.
All right.
And if you get Morgan Moses, ask him who makes his glasses.
What are you wearing? And who makes your glasses?
He's got a presence about him, man. He's a big dude. That's exactly what you want, I think, from a right tackle. That's just right there. Excited to have him in the room, though, especially coming right on the heels of losing David Andrews, to have just a guy who has that kind of presence. And you can tell hopefully those young kids in that room, which we talked about at the beginning of the show, can we just get one of those guys to emerge as a starter this year? And I think that's the kind of guy you want to have in your locker room to provide that leadership, just like it was provided to him by guys like Tyron Smith last year.
Mark in Quebec writes in, Paul and I were arguing about Cooper Kupp. He said DeAndre Hopkins
well, not really arguing. It's one of those
saying
typical
the same
Fred
thing,
and
but
Paul
yelling
things.
at each other.
DeAndre Hopkins just signed a one-year deal in Baltimore for $5 million. Hollywood Brown re-upped with KC for $6.85 million on a one-year deal. I think Kupp getting
neither one of them were highly sought after. I would agree with you.
I think Kupp getting $10 million, as Fred suggested, would be pretty decent value for both him and whichever team signs him, with the unknowns around his health and production. Any of these three receivers would be our top receiver next year with the current roster and help May grow rather than have another year with a well below average receiving core.
So that's two different things. I agree with the second part of that.
Hmm.
Cooper Kupp would be their best receiver.
Yeah.
Because you don't have any receivers.
That's true.
He would be their best.
You have receivers, but
you don't have any real ones.
Yeah. I mean, I'd be fine with Cooper Kupp. I'm not pounding the
Me
table
too.
having to have him. But I would connect it to what I just said about Morgan Moses. I feel like here's a guy who knows what it takes in that wide receiver room and somebody who's going to work his butt off and set the tone. And does he still have the same ability that he maybe had a few years ago? Maybe not, but I think that's worth a lot, and I'd still be happy to take a flyer on Cooper.
I got a couple callers here on the hotline. They've been holding on for the entirety of the show, so I don't know if they're going to be here, but we'll take a shot.
Wow.
Danny's in Daytona. What's up, Danny?
Hey, can you guys hear?
We sure can, and you win the award for the person who's hung on the longest ever on the show for 2 hours.
It's about to be topped by Deshaun.
What's
but
up,
go ahead.
Danny?
Yeah. What's going on, guys? I didn't mind waiting a couple hours. So I just got a couple things to talk to you guys about. I would say, like Paul was saying earlier, I give the draft a B- on the draft. Or maybe not the draft, the free agency. B- on that. The picks were decent. There's a lot of people talking about how they think it was a bad free agency because they didn't get offensive players. You know, the draft's still coming up, as everyone has stated, and what they said in just the press conference. I think they'll find a left tackle and a receiver. I'll be happy when they do that. One other thing I'd like to add, I'm happy they didn't get Devontae Adams and all these other players that people were talking about they wanted. I know, Paul, you're interested in the Cooper Kupp. I like him as a veteran, but I really don't want to kick these tires on these old players. I like that they're trying to get young, and they're trying to bring in some experienced guys, too, to kind of help the team. I think that's great. I do like how they're doing this little format of bringing these players in and introducing them. I think that's cool. But that's basically all my take, and I'll take it off there.
Okay, thanks, Danny. Listen, to be clear, if they get Cooper Kupp, they're not done, I hope. I mean, he's not the answer. I just think he's a good addition.
For now, they probably are. But yes, I agree with you. They're not going to say, like, well, we have Cooper Kupp, so we're all set. We're going to be Super Bowl bound.
Right.
No, they're not going to do that.
Right. Let's go to Deshaun in Virginia, who held on equally long. What's up, Deshaun?
What's up, guys? How you guys doing?
All right.
Yes, what I wanted to speak on as far as, like, when it comes to the draft, one thing I'm really worried about is that now with all this mix-up with the offensive line and stuff, I'm kind of really worried about that he might have to take the double dip in the first couple of rounds in order to get quality guys in the offensive line, especially at left guard and left tackle, because unless they have Dante Scarnecchia on speed down or somewhere in the room, we don't trust them to draft the offensive linemen later in these drafts. So when it comes down to it, that's what I'm really worried about. And the fact is, they won't be able to draft any receivers like talking about if they do that. So that's what I'm worried about. That's all I have to say.
Okay. Thanks, Deshaun.
Yeah. I mean, it goes back to the same point of, at some point you have to find a way to develop those 4th, 5th, 6th round guys that, it's not always going to happen. And I mean, it's a lot of times those are flyers, but that's how good teams happen. Guys who were random 6th round picks all of a sudden develop. I mean, Michael Onwenu is an example from a couple of years ago.
I was going to say offensive linemen. A lot of times you fill out your offensive line. Now, you might have a 1st round left tackle or so, but Mike's right. Like a lot of times the good offensive lines include, a 1st round pick, a 2nd round pick, but a couple of like late round picks too.
Yep.
And Onwenu is a perfect example of it. He's been a really good player for them for 5 years now?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Not great, not a Pro Bowl, all-pro type player, but a very solid starter on your offensive line for 5 years.
Yeah, and if you had 5 Michael Wenyus,
you'd be okay. You'd have the Fred theory.
You'd have the Fred thing.
Spee in Fresno says, I like the intensity of some of the new guys. Some have the edge like Keon White seems to have, so maybe that'll help bring out the best in him.
Yeah, Milton Williams, there's just so much uncertainty with Barmore right now, and I never felt like the last few years you could really hang your hat on one of these defensive linemen that they've had up front. It's been a little touch and go with a lot of them, and I just hope that he's the start of rebuilding a defensive front. Not that they got to get back to Seymour, Wilfork, Warren, that all 3 guys are 1st round picks, but it still just gives you something like this guy's going to set the tone. He looks like, man, I forget what the question was exactly, or it was I think Phil Perry asked him, how are you going to deal with playing more snaps now and hard work? You know,
Yeah,
it's just he
it's
just
just that
seems like
simple.
a serious locked-in dude, and I think it shows on the field that he's an intense
So
guy.
my
and,
guess is he's probably heard a ton of part-time player, product of those around him, comments.
Yeah.
And he's
Yeah.
going to take them to heart, and that's going to be his goal. Like that's sort of his focus.
Yeah, we
is
got to
to
make
prove,
him mad a little
prove
bit.
that
We got to
wrong.
make him mad a
I
little
could do
bit.
it on my own.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Just Evan texted me. He's over in KSP right now as they're talking with some of the guys, but he said, hang on as long as we can because Stacy does want to bring a guy by. So
Okay.
Yeah.
And
So
do
just
we
keep
know
going.
who, or is it going to be a
He
surprise?
didn't say who, so I don't know.
Okay.
We'll just see. It's going to be one of the four.
Jack and Inaba, common theme jumps off the screen from the free agents. Character. They're bursting with character, especially Moses. Moses oozes leadership, responsibility, dedication, and commitment.
Wow.
Very, very impressive.
Keep that quote handy in case he walks through that
Yeah.
door in a second.
A lot of people agree. Jeremiah is one of them. I agree with Paul on Morgan Moses. Very well spoken and a great understanding of what the team needs from him as a player and a mentor. I would also add Spillane was another high character guy at the podium. Okay?
Yeah, he was. It's just he comes off like exactly like he does on film. I'm like, does this guy want to go down to the field right now and start hitting sleds or something? He seems ready to go.
David writes in, it's been a while since I've sent anything in. Well, good to see you back, David. I think it would be a good idea to remind people what a rebuild looks like that is working and a rebuild looks like that isn't working, using examples from another sport which highlights positives from Boston and negatives from Buffalo, which we all, Fred, especially hate. I don't know what that means. From another sport which highlights positives from Boston and negatives from Buffalo. What does that mean? Do you know what that means?
No idea.
Do you know what the other sport is that he's talking about?
Hockey. Maybe he's talking about the Sabres, who have sort of been mired at the bottom of the league
been
for
mired.
a decade.
Yeah, they have
Could
been
be.
mired.
I don't know.
But again, we can talk about all of this stuff. The key to getting out of this is going to be what Mike preaches all the time. Draft well, right? You need some players to come in. You're not going to get elite free agents every year, but you have the opportunity to get elite draft picks every year. Now, it requires a lot of luck because no one's perfect at the draft. It's really hard. But that's how you get really good is you draft young players who are great, and then you're able to stack those on top of each other and then augment them. So you don't have to do 7 signings on Monday, the first day of free agency. Instead, you augment them with 2 to just plug in a couple of holes to make you a little bit better, a little bit deeper in certain areas, put you over the top. That's what you're striving for.
Yeah.
Mike has said this ad nauseum.
Yeah, I mean, and especially just with, I'd say on the defensive side of the ball, just it being a good defensive front 7 class with a lot of defensive linemen, it's so much more appealing now thinking about plugging one of those talented guys in with Milton Williams, with Carlton Davis on the back end, with Spillane playing a little linebacker, maybe next to Bentley. So, yeah, I think they've set the table pretty well, but that's what the ceiling's going to be.
And I'm a dork, and I go back to the when we first started, Freddie. So like when they were first good, it's like we have this really good young all-pro caliber corner in Ty Law. So we're going to go out, we're going to sign a guy like Otis Smith to be a stopgap and later Tyrone Poole. But we're going to draft Eugene Wilson and we're going to draft Asante Samuel with the idea of when they're ready, Ty Law's probably going to be ready to go. And that's exactly what happened. Ty Law was all-pro caliber, then he wasn't. Then Asante Samuel is sort of I won't call him all-pro caliber, but I'll call him Pro Bowl caliber.
Sure.
And he's able to sort of carry the baton for you so you can continue to win and be good. And they played at a very high level for a long time. That's what you're looking for. Now, I could give you that example with Ted Washington and Keith Traylor in the middle, and then you draft Vince Wilfork. And I could give you a lot of those different. Bobby Hamilton gives way to Ty Warren. That's how you do it.
Yeah.
And if you don't do the second part of it well, you're going to be where Mike has lamented for now the 5 years that we've
Well, it's
worked
just
together.
unraveled. And you laid off all of the examples of the past Patriots team where it was like that. It was, Matt Light leaves. You got Nate Solder waiting in the wings, and at a certain point, when you start missing on this draft, and then you got another bad draft, and you're starting to lose the guys to cycle in. Now Joe Tooney, he goes in free agency, and now you don't have
Like Nate Solder leaves and you want to replace him with Isaiah Wynn. Doesn't work because you didn't get the right guy. Now, again, it's hard to get the right guy every time. Fred will tell you, I'm on record. I thought Bill Belichick was not just a good drafter, a very good drafter, to which Andy still makes fun of me about. But I'll stand by it. I think for the vast majority of his 20 years, he did a very good job. At the end, he was in a slump. Maybe he was on a heater early, but he wasn't able to maintain it. But that's how you have to do it. That's how you maintain a high level of winning for a long time.
And have Tom Brady.
Yes, none of it works without without talent.
Matt's
you need
in
the talent too.
Matt's in Mississippi. Hey, Matt.
Hey, how you guys doing?
Good.
Hey, Matt.
Hey, I kind of got two questions. One, with the offensive line, what do you think Cole Strange fits in everything? And with the wide receivers, do you think we should go get somebody like a Stephon Diggs or somebody to help on the outside for at least a year? I know he has attitude problems and everything, but do you think he's kind of like a last resort type guy?
Yeah. So first, Cole Strange, where does he fit in? And thanks for the call, Matt. I think now with Andrews gone, I think they're going to hope that he's your center, right?
I think so. There's just a lot of influx. There's a new offensive line coach. There's a new offensive coordinator. We don't know exactly what the scheme's going to look like. You have some different options at the center position. I really have no idea how they view Cole Strange.
I don't
at
either.
all.
He's going to have an opportunity to earn a job. I don't know if that'll be at guard or center, but I think he'll have an opportunity.
Yeah.
In
And
terms
then-
of wide receivers, I would absolutely, if
What-
they're
what
stuck
is
with
Stephon
nothing.
Diggs' status right now?
He's a free.
Well,
Well,
he's
he's coming
torn
off a
his
torn
ACL.
ACL.
Right. But he's out there.
He's out there.
He's a free agent.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would take him. But again, these are stopgap guys. Cooper Kupp, Stephon Diggs, Brandon Cooks. There's guys that are available that are veterans, but none of them that are going to move the needle for you long term.
If Diggs is healthy, I think he moves the needle.
He doesn't.
Don't look at me, Fred. I don't like him.
He didn't move the needle in Houston.
Anyone that's not 25, he
No.
just doesn't like.
Yeah,
Well, because they don't play like they were 25. That's it's not the age that gets me. It's he's slowed down.
I think he's still pretty well.
Like
he was,
Nico Collins was the guy that made it happen in Houston. He's the second banana. They don't have the guy
But that's
that Diggs can be second banana to.
Yeah.
But I'll take him because it's better than what you have.
Ryan's in Alabama. What's up, Ryan?
How's it going, guys?
Good.
Hey, Ryan.
Yeah, just to circle back on the draft, I really think since we got Carlton Davis, now you got the cornerback situation.
Ryan, I'm going to have to
Out.
put you on hold because we've got a guest coming in, but I'm going to put you on hold, and I'll get you when we come back. Okay.
All right. So we're going to have Milton Williams
About to walk through our door.
shortly. So
What's that? Okay. So Milton Williams about
So
to...
about 20 in about 20 minutes we'll have
You can
Milton
talk to
Williams.
him in here. He's like...
He's trying to get a private.
He's trying to get all his football questions in
Yeah.
because he knows we're going to roll our eyes
He's
at
definitely
him.
saying 3 technique right now.
It's unbelievable. He's hijacked our guest. We've got the guest... Tell him to bring him in. Oh, my God.
I think they can hear you, Fred.
There's an extra seat for Evan. He doesn't have to do the interview out there. I mean, this is unbelievable.
He thought you were going to make him stand in the corner again.
Poor
so-
Ryan. We could have finished up
We could have
Ryan's
finished the call. Yeah. So we're going to have Milton Williams, and then we're hoping to get Morgan Moses shortly after that. So stick with us. We'll hear from a couple of the new free agent signings,
Yeah.
the new foundation, I think, to what the new look
Where
Patriots
do
are
you
going to
want-
be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So right
Hey,
here.
Deuce, good to meet you.
Milton, nice to meet you.
Hey, Paul Perillo, congratulations.
Come on in.
All right, Evan, you could have talked to him here. You didn't have to conduct an interview out there.
Well, we did. We walked and talked. didn't we?
So you've been walking. You've been talking the whole time.
All right.
How,
Yeah.
how long did it take you before you wanted to beat him up when he started talking about the three technique inside shade?
No,
No,
just so you know, Evan is our savant. Like
they do this
he's
to me
our
every
X and O
time.
guy.
he's a ball knower.
Oh yeah.
Just ask him.
I can talk ball all day.
All right.
We talked a little. We talked a little through technique. We talked a little bit about the defense and Jeffrey Simmons and him, playing similar roles and things like that. So we got into it a little
All right.
bit.
This This is Deuce, otherwise Mike Dussault. I'm
Hello.
Fred Kirsch, Paul Perillo, and you've met Evan. So welcome.
Yeah.
Appreciate you guys having me.
Yeah, this is
Got your
exciting.
Pat swag already? See that?
The whole
Yeah.
family does.
Yeah. They gave me like this little shirt.
Yeah.
This is my guy right here.
This is exciting. So, what were your first impressions, coming into the building and all that stuff?
Man, it was great. Shoot, when you walk through the door, you just feel just the presence of winning. Coming from a winning organization in Philadelphia, it's the same way, but coming in here is just different. I would say I wasn't always a fan of the Patriots growing up.
That's okay.
Because they were so good, and I mean they just played complementary football, great defense, great players on defense, great players on offense, great quarterback play, just situationally aware. They just did a lot of things good, and I got tired of watching them win. I want to see somebody else win, but
I
I'm
hear
here.
you.
I'm here now, so I want to try to help add to that winning tradition.
Yep.
Were there guys on those teams, as much as you sort of rooted against them, that you looked at, especially defensively, that you sort of admired?
Obviously, Coach Vrabel. I was a little younger when he was playing, but I do remember he was playing defense and offense. I remember he was catching passes too, so he was definitely a guy. Obviously, Tom Brady, just having all the answers to the test. The film study he always talk about, and just making the right reads and getting the ball where it needs to be on time.
I think Vrabel, he had 10 catches. All of them were touchdowns.
Yeah, so I mean,
He's probably going to tell you about it a lot. I
Oh,
think.
okay.
yeah, he'll remind you.
He gonna rub it
He'll
in.
remind
He
you.
gonna rub it in.
Yeah.
Nah, that's good. That's cool, man.
Yeah.
But
No, I just want to ask you about the last. Like, if you go back a year ago from right now, you knew you were going into free agency. You guys had a stacked team. Over the last month, you've won a Super Bowl. You signed a free agency contract to come. What's this year been like, and how much hard work did you put in last summer in preparation for kind of where you are right now?
I put in a lot of work with this guy right here.
You're his trainer?
Well, last trainer, I went Club Sports.
Okay.
Yeah. Put in a lot of work. Just getting ready, just trying to prepare my body, knowing that I was gonna get a bigger role for the first time in my career, and wanting to be ready for any challenge that came. So,
Yep.
getting stronger, getting faster, more endurance. Doing a little boxing. Doing whatever I can to make sure that I'm in the best shape of my life and I can produce when it's time to produce.
Does the boxing help with just the hand quickness and that type of thing?
Hand quickness, feet quickness, hand-eye coordination, endurance. It helped with a lot.
And
So.
if, after the whistle, you might get a couple in.
Nah, you don't want to do it. Look, you don't want to be dirty. It's a couple guys that I don't do that stuff. It's a couple.
I'm only.
I want to know more about a couple of the guys that might do that.
Nah, I ain't gonna call them out either. They know who they are.
We like to kid around. So you just won a Super Bowl, and you mentioned coming in here, you sense the vibe of the winning, but there's only two guys left now here after David Andrews is gone who have won Super Bowls with this team. So frankly, we need more guys like you who have that experience. Is that something that you're ready to bring? Like, this is what it takes to win Super Bowls, guys.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I know what it looked like. Last year, we had a really close team, and we just played for each other. Great coaches. No, we knew it was going to be a journey. Coach Sirianni, he always talked about the climb and, playing the game that's in front of us, not worried about anything like down the line or whatever in the past. But we just played for each other, played for the city, of course, and just going out there and being physical and, dominating your box. Whatever your job is on any given play, make sure that you executing at the best of your ability and, get everybody on that same page. And, we went out there and dominated in the Super Bowl.
So if you got a one-on-one, fourth quarter, game's on the line. I've seen you use a lot of different pass rush moves, so I got to ask you, what's your favorite one? Like, what's the one you're going to?
if a guy didn't like strap me up a couple times, like got me, like he got me. Speed to power. I feel like I'm fast for my size, explosive enough to generate that power, and then also just with my strength, upper body strength, just being able to get my hands inside, and try to either collapse the pocket or push them back far enough where I can disengage. Those are my go-to. So most of the time, guys struggle with sitting down my power, so they'll try to sit different, and then I can get on edge quicker because they're trying to stop me in my tracks earlier. So if I catch your hand, it's over because I'm finna just run by you. But yeah, my go-to will probably be power rush.
Super Bowl, a strip sack on one of those, I believe, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Same thing.
Yep.
So are you familiar with this area at all? Have you ever visited New England or the Boston area, or?
We practiced against you guys before the season last year. That was the only.
Did you get a chance to?
You dominated us. By the way.
Yes.
You're not supposed to say that.
I don't know.
It was like
that was probably the lowest point.
In all seriousness, that was the day I knew.
I'm sorry.
It was not going to be a good season.
I mean, we could literally.
He's laughing because he knows how much they talk.
Literally.
That was a college team against a pro team.
The Patriots could not execute their offense that day because the pressure.
Because of you guys. Because of you and Jalen and Jordan. Like, they could not even get a snap.
I remember. I've been telling some of the guys, like, I remember we came out here and we just. Well, I remember I don't like to just gloat or nothing. I was going crazy.
I mean, that was we've had a lot of joint practices. That was the worst one this team has ever had. I'm telling you.
We was getting after it for sure. So
yeah.
I was once my agent told me that they were interested. I'm like, they probably got that tape.
So. Yeah. All right. Well, we're getting the wrap up. You got other things to do. We appreciate you stopping by for a few minutes. If you have any food things you need, recommendations on where the people to go to. We eat a lot.
Hey, appreciate it. Appreciate y'all having me, man.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.
Congratulations again.
Congratulations.
Yes, sir.
All right. There you go.
See y'all later, man.
Have a good one.
All right.
The prize of free agency is in New England.
I can't believe I didn't remember that absolute ass kicking they gave us in that joint practice. I can't believe that just popped into my head when he started talking about it.
He didn't. He remembered.
No, he was like the smile.
I don't know what I'm supposed to say.
That was the day. Today was the day that I realized that the 24 Patriots were not going to be good.
That was a low point.
They could not get a snap off. Remember all the false starts?
I know.
And all the sacks?
I mean,
he was one of the reasons.
We should have Matt pull a highlight from us doing the live broadcast of it.
Oh boy! I remember us talking on the show during the live broadcast. Like, can we get one of these guys on our defensive line? And now here we go. So at least we got one finally.
Yep. I saw a large figure coming into the other studio.
Oh,
so
boy.
whenever he's ready, we're going to have our next guest. But yeah, that was interesting. I wanted to get into like restaurants with him. Like, what does he like to eat, so we can make some recommendations. You know, our boneless wings, truly boneless wings. But we didn't get to go there.
Yeah, his whole family is here, so you might have seen his father there, and they're all already decked out in Patriots gear. They went to the pro shop, and we gave them some swag bags and stuff like that. So they all got Patriots geared up.
What do you got?
Real quick, just David Andrews put out a post on Instagram, just said, "Thank you, Patriots. I will always cherish the memories and relationships on and off the field and what we accomplished. The best 10 years me and Mac Andrews could ever ask for. I'll always be a Patriot." So David Andrews chiming in, and I mean, I think we put out a lot of great content. I mean, there's so much that
classy
you can do
as
for
ever,
a classy
though.
guy.
Yep.
I expect nothing less.
Great stuff.
Evan, we haven't had, while we wait for Morgan to come in, your impressions of the lineup this morning.
Yeah, it was really cool. Like, I had never been to one of those before. We haven't really done
Neither
one of those.
have we.
Yeah, so it was really there was buzz. There was absolutely buzz and excitement, and it was I thought interesting to hear Vrabel talk about. He called it the group, the free agency group of him and Elliot Wolf and Ryan Cowden, Macro, and your guy Richard Miller was also in that group as well. So Fred said that we had to do something on Richard Miller.
If he wants us to.
Yeah,
I'm negotiating with him.
Yeah, I agree. But yeah, that was cool to hear about them on the phones and all the bullets flying and stuff
Carlton
like that.
Davis.
We're gonna have Carlton Davis.
Okay. All right.
There you go.
Have a seat.
Come on in. Yeah.
Welcome,
So-
Carlton. Hey. Yeah, nice to meet
Congratulations. Now, is it Gucci?
Gucci.
Okay, so
All right.
so we were watching because
Yeah.
Fred and I stayed here in the studio. Mike and Evan went to the press conference. We were trying to figure out, as Fred says, what you were wearing.
Yeah.
I'm Gucci down.
Yeah, I was like, it can't be Coach. Now, he wouldn't do
No,
Coach.
Gucci.
You got good taste.
You like
you
that.
got good taste. man. You got good taste.
Well, welcome. This is Deuce, Mike.
Nice to meet you.
I'm Fred, Paul, and Evan.
Nice to meet you, guys.
Welcome to New England.
Welcome.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
This is great. We were excited just watching at the podium, and you were talking about lining up with Gonzo, and we're excited about that too because being able, like Coach Vrabel said, cats. Just take
Cat
that cat.
coverage.
What?
Yeah, and let's go one-on-one and
Yeah.
let the other guys get at the quarterback and
Oh,
play
yeah.
that complementary type of football.
Yeah.
Is that something that excites you as well?
Of course,
Yeah.
it excites me, especially like being able to go and play with Gonzo, a guy who I know can hold his own and has shown it in previous years. And when you can play that type of football, especially for defense, like he said, it allows somebody to rush the pass a little bit more efficiently, and then it also puts pressure on the quarterback because you're playing tight coverage, and now he's not just picking you off in the zone. And when you need to play man to man, you could play it. I've been on teams where we play man to man like 80% of the snaps, and that's the more efficient way to get the offense off the field and get 3 and outs quickly. And now you're putting your offense back on the field, and he's getting more chances, and you're just giving him more chances to get in the end zone.
But you got to be able to do man on man.
Gotta be able to do it.
There's a downside if you're losing those battles, then right.
It can be bad. It can be bad, but it takes a certain type of guy to want to do it and to continue to do it because you may not be perfect, but you have to have that dog mentality where I'm going to come back and I'm going to win, I'm going to fight. And then you have to have good technique in it. And, that's something I've been doing my whole career. We've had a lot of success behind it at Detroit and at Tampa when we were able to do it and allow the guys to just rush the pasture. So I can't wait to really go out there and just lock up and really show everybody what we can do.
Yeah.
How much pride do you take in the physicality of your game? Because it seems like you're a good compliment to Gonzo, but that's you.
Yeah, that is me. I do love to be physical. I do love to, instill fear and kind of be a bully out there. If I'm being quite honest, I like to have that intimidation factor, knowing that they watched the film from last week and they've been watching the film. And in their meetings, their coaches were talking about, this guy is a bully, and this guy's going to press you, and this guy's going to close space on you, and you can tell, like, you get out there, you can just look at a receiver and his coach is watching film, his coach told him, because he's a little nervous, he's a little, just antsy about what's about to happen, and he knows you're going to press him, and you're not going to give him too much space.
That sounds like Jamar Chase knew. I did a little study on you.
Yeah. I don't think he knew, but I feel like he found out, and I think he's a great player. I don't really like to antagonize situations, but I do love to, give respect and get respect.
Yeah. And does that competitiveness and physicality extend to practice too? Do you like to get it on with your teammates and challenge that offense?
It starts in practice.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, that doesn't happen in the game if it's not in practice. And, when I was younger, I didn't appreciate practice as much, and I didn't understand how important it was until I had, times where I would BS in practice and then try to cut it on in the game, and it does not work. Like, you can't do it. Like, even if you're telling yourself mentally, I'm going to do this, you'll get in the game and you just kind of freeze up because the muscle it's called muscle memory.
Yeah.
It's muscle memory. That's it.
Yep.
Just your length, your arm length, and all that stuff. I remember you coming out of the draft, and that was all the talk about you. Is I think you're 95th percentile with your wingspan for a corner. Just how does that help you? In terms of pressing guys or even getting in passing lanes.
You know what? I use it to my advantage, and people say, "Well, you have long arms," but there's a lot of guys who have long arms. But I think the key to that is being deceptive in your reach. So a lot of times with boxers or MMA fighters, and I'm not sure if you guys are big fans of that, but it's all about the reach and all about how deceptive you can be in touching your opponent or being in that range to touch them. So for me, I'm a little deceptive with my spatial awareness and knowing when I can and can't touch them. And then also, like, if I'm at the line and I'm close up on you, sometimes you'll kind of anticipate me touching you because you think I have long arms, but I just give you some space so I can allow you to commit and then put my arms on you. Or sometimes I'm at the point where obviously film doesn't give you, exactly the dimensions of my arms, or you don't know it until you really see me. So sometimes when you see me in a game and it's the first time you see me, you're not really too sure, like you've seen it on film, but you haven't experienced it. So when I do get in front of you, it's kind of different when, okay, I got enough space, but you really don't.
Yeah.
Like one step and I'm going to touch you. So I kind of use it as a deceptive tool in my game where I'm not like, trying to be overly aggressive, but I'm trying to kind of, size it up.
Yeah, Paul and I are in the over 70 bare knuckles league.
Oh, yeah.
We're not over 70, but
Fred
those
is.
are the
Fred is.
only guys that we can fight.
Paul's not. Paul's only over 50, not 70.
No problems with you guys.
I wanted to ask you, Carlton, about, I think you were quoted before the free agent process started that you sort of regretted the way you approached it last year.
Yeah.
What are some of the differences, what you felt like you were able to do this time in terms of the whole process that you didn't do last year?
So the last time I hit free agency with Tampa, I just felt as if I panicked. And I wouldn't say panic, but, when free agency starts, it's going fast. And, you got to make a decisive decision. You need to, make that decision fast because as the longer you wait, the more the money goes down. And I feel as if, I didn't want to leave where I was at. And, when we started talking, my agent wasn't really getting nowhere with the negotiations. And I was just saying, all right, I just kind of panicked and say, just take it. And, after talking to other people after the fact, they kind of felt as if I left money on the table. And I kind of felt that way too, even if it was like maybe a mil or so short. In this league, you want to be as efficient as possible because you never know when it could be your last game. So, I was kind of frustrated with that process back then, and I knew I was hoping that me and Detroit could get something done before I hit free agency, and that was, my mind frame going into it that I wouldn't even hit it because we were already being negotiations, and it just wasn't going the way I planned it to go. So I was just kind of frustrated with it. Like, if I hit free agency this time, I'm not going to panic. I'm going to, make the right decision, and I'm going to go where I'm wanted. And I'm not going to just, stay because I'm nervous or I'm panicking or I don't want to change situations. So that was really the message.
Yeah, that was going to be a follow-up, is just how difficult it was to leave Detroit, which I know it was obviously disappointing end for you guys, but still one of the best 2 or 3 teams in football. How tough was that to walk away from?
That was tough. It was really tough, honestly, because I just moved from a situation. I just, got comfortable there, and I'm not a guy who wants to team hop. Like, I'm trying to play hard for the organization, and eventually, buy into it, and they buy into me. So, that was my plan when I did get traded there, was to, leave a good enough impression where they would want to extend me, and I could be there for the rest of my career. So, leaving was tough. I just had good bonds with the guys, and I still have good bonds with them, and I still respect them, and I still, love them as teammates, man. And, a lot of those guys reached out to me during this process, and they wanted me to get a deal done. And even after the fact, when I chose to come here, they still reached out to me and, was just happy for the time I did spend there and congratulated me. So it was tough. I love the city. I did grow to love it. And just, winning, when you're winning like that and you have so much success, especially in that division.
Loved you guys.
Man, it was a time for Detroit, man. It was a great time, and it still is. So it was hard for me to leave, but, ultimately I had to do what was best for my career and go where I was wanted and prioritized.
Oh, you win here, we'll love you too.
Oh, man, I mean, that's the plan. Like, I'm not coming here to just, soak it in and just, I'm happy. Like, no, I'm not here to do that. Like, I'm here to win. That's all I ever been about. In my career, I've been trying to just be the best I can be and help the team the best way I can. And in those little steps, you take big steps, because, it's the small details that make the biggest leaps. And, talking to Terrell Williams, Terrence Williams before I came here, he was just like, he felt as if that, after I signed, he felt like we were closer to being good than other people thought. Like, he was like, man, now that we got you and the guys, he felt as if people, may look at that record last year and may think, well, they have a ways to go. It doesn't matter who they bring in, but in this league, it's just the small things. It could be 1, 2, 3 players that just change it and turn it all around with the leadership, with the play on the field, with the plays they make, the timely plays, because in games, it's just the difference is just a couple plays if you think about it.
Oh, yeah.
And third down situations, red zone situations. So when you get better in those fields and you have better players situationally,
Yep.
you can be better overall.
Yeah, as Coach Vrabel said when he came here first, he said, we just want to be a team that takes advantage of bad football.
Yeah,
You know?
exactly.
Yeah. Hey, appreciate you coming by.
No
I
problem,
know it's
man.
been a kind of whirlwind today, so we'll let you get back at it. But
Yeah.
welcome to New England.
Thank you guys for having me, man.
All right.
I'm happy to meet you guys.
Okay,
I'll see you
thank
soon.
you. Thank you.
What number did they get you there?
7.
7? All right.
Is that going to be your
There you
number?
go.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
7.
All right. There we go.
All right.
Thank you. All right.
Thank you. That was like maybe like a 007 thing.
Yeah, there we go.
We're like a 007.
Yeah, him and Gonzo, right?
Yeah.
We got a little.
That's awesome.
That's fun.
It's going to spoil Mike Reese's content
Oh.
later on because we already know what all the new guys are wearing.
I know, I know.
14 for Spillane.
Yeah, 97.
76
Williams.
for Moses, 97 for Milton
76
Williams.
is a great tackle number.
Oh,
Yeah.
Like
right.
offensive tackle.
Seabass.
Seabass.
76.
He different voice, obviously, but he reminds me a little bit of Talib. You know, it's
Yeah.
like,
Oh, yeah.
you know,
Sharp guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
I never got to talk to Talib, but.
Always Deuce again.
Gonna hold a bake sale for Mike.
But I just love listening to Carlton Davis talk now and at the podium and with Gonzo, what we know of him. Like these are two guys that want that matchup. Like they want to go up against Jamar Chase and they want to go up against Tyreek Hill and those types of guys. So it'd be interesting like how they battle it out for who gets who, on Sundays and stuff. And you get that cat and it's like, actually, I'm going to take Tyreek this week. You get him next time. So, but they're both that mentality of let's get it. Let's get those.
good
guys.
stuff. Maybe Ryan's still on the phone. Ryan, you still there?
Sorry, Ryan.
Yeah, I'm still here.
There you
Wow,
go.
good for you. All right,
Yeah,
so
I'm a fan, man.
the floor is yours.
Yeah, like I was talking earlier, with since Carlton was just on the show, since we signed him and we've got that duo now on a lock with Gonzo, I feel like at number 4 we really got to get Travis Hunter. You can't pass up that talent, especially now that he could do more offense and have the design quarterback plays, especially in the McDaniels run offense. So I just wanted to see what y'all thought about that.
Okay.
Who did
Yeah.
you say?
Hunter. I mean, if Hunter's
Yeah,
there,
yeah, yeah.
if Hunter or Carter there,
Oh.
I mean, I
Can
hard
you
pressed
imagine, like, forget about wide receiver, because I think if you bring him in, you the first thing you got to do is get his looks at wide receiver. Could you imagine the three of them on the field at
Oh,
the same
boy.
time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Holy crap!
Yeah.
That might be like I know I'm getting crazy here, but over time that could be looked at the best cornerback trio in the history of the NFL.
I mean,
I
you got those,
together.
those two guys on the
Yeah.
outside, Travis Hunter kind of roaming around, letting him do his
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
I was thinking of the draft night party where obviously the picks come in, and if that third pick were to be Shedeur Sanders, and
it's
everyone
the
knows
roar.
Hunter's sitting there. I mean, I think their whole draft party would probably start chanting
Yeah.
like Travis.
Yeah. We got
I
it.
hard pressed to find somebody who doesn't.
All right.
Wouldn't want him.
We have our third guest coming in, and
We're getting
it's
everybody.
it's a big one.
Oh man!
All right,
We gotta put the
Mr.
chair down.
Moses.
Fellas, how y'all doing?
Good. How are you?
No, you sit down.
Look out! Clips the camera.
All right, Morgan Moses. Oh my goodness, welcome.
I want to lead off right away by saying I'd like you to be my life coach.
I got you, man. I got you.
I
Yeah.
was so impressed with, Fred and I sat here listening to the press conference. I was just so impressed listening to you talk about the bond of the offensive line in particular, and it's like everything that went with it. Your work with your kids. I need you to take me under your wing.
Hey, man, life,
I'm
you got room
only
for another
56.
kid?
I still have time.
Life is a revolving door, man. You learn as you go, man. So
Yeah.
it's no better feeling to be able to give back to your young kings and showing them a way.
No, we were talking about like what's our favorite signing, because it's not often the Patriots have had this amount of signings so early in free agency. A couple times, but not often. You're the unanimous vote. Like you're our favorite signing because it seems to me that you bring a level of maturity and experience that this team needs, especially in offensive line. David
Leadership.
Andrews is now gone. You probably heard that. He was the captain. Michael Onwenu is our most experienced guy. He's 27.
By the way, I can't wait to play beside Mike, man.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
Oh, I can't wait
Can't
to
wait.
see it. I can't wait to see it.
I think defenses can wait.
Yeah.
They can probably wait.
And frankly, Morgan, the line needs that leadership. Are you ready for that? Are you willing to be that leader?
I'm gonna tell you this, man. My great grandfather parted the Red Sea a long time ago. So I was built for this.
How's it look now, Moses?
Where's your Messiah now?
No, that's good to know.
Yes, sir.
You know, because I think we need that.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
Yeah.
You come from the Jets and the Ravens the last few years. I mean, what was just your impression? I mean, those are two of the great rivals with the Patriots here. What was kind of your impression of these games as you were on the other side of it?
Obviously, man, coming in here is not easy to play, man. Like the fans are just diehard. They are diehard. And obviously, when you come to an organization that's won so much, right? The lineage of and history of a great owner, great coaches that came through here, great players. My son was teasing me earlier. He said, "Did you play against Coach Vrabel?"
How old is your son?
I said, he's 10 years old. I said,
Okay.
"No, bro, I'm not that old, man. I didn't play against him." But obviously, I've had a number of battles, against this team over the course of my career, and it's always been fun to play here. It's always been tough games, down to the wire, and that's what you want, right? Like even the last couple of years, we can sit here and say that we haven't been great. But when you go out there and look at the film, you got guys that's running through walls until that last whistle, and that's what you want. When you look at a team and say, hey, we're not where we want to be at right now,
Yeah.
but we have some guys. We have some guys that we can build with and build from, and then you add Coach Vrabel, who's done it at a high level on multiple levels as a coach and player. I think I said this in the press conference earlier. Shoot, he holds that bag for guys, and I just watch him on the sideline getting punched, and I'm like, man, I'm holding it for 9 and 10 years old when I'm coaching, and I'm like, it hurts, bro. So just being able to see him do that and give back, and not just be a coach, man. Like he understands because he's played this game at a high level. He's won at a high level.
Oh, yeah.
It only makes the players excited in the locker room because it's coming from a guy that's been through he's been through it. He's been through the war.
So arm length is always a big talk, and with Will Campbell possibly, in the range for the Patriots, he came in under 34 inches. You're 35, I
You're
think.
33.
Your arm length.
We can
Can you
measure
just explain, because our listeners ask us, and we don't know, we don't play the position, like what does that extra arm length help when you're a tackle?
Well, I'm gonna say this, man. When I first got in the league, I didn't know how to use length. I had a great coach in Bill Callahan, who's well known throughout this league, and he was like, hey, man, you're working too hard trying to move your feet to keep up with these guys. You gotta use this God-given gift that you got of these long arms, and so just being able to learn from those things and being able to put those in my game and learning that offensive line can have a toolkit just like pass rushers as well. Has been vital to my career, and so but everybody has their own niche, right? Like I played with Trent Williams, who probably doesn't necessarily have the longest arms, but who's an amazing athlete and can stay in front of guys that run 4.2. So God blesses us in different facets of life and in different ways, and you got to be able to use those things. And I think Will Campbell, who's been getting a little hot about the arm length.
Right.
Obviously. I think it was a stat out there that said that he's blocked like the top 15 rushers in the combine, and obviously he's done a pretty well job because he wouldn't be in a conversation of a top 10. So, obviously, he's found a way to get around those things.
Yep.
Yeah, you mentioned Mike Onwenu, and the first thing I thought of when they signed you is you two on a double team is going to move some mountains. So just,
Duo.
Yeah,
Duo.
Yeah, exactly.
Now you're talking his language. He's our savant. He's our X and O guy.
Yeah, and there's a play that you guys were backed up on your own goal line last year, and they just ran duo right behind you on that right side. And now you're going to be next to Big Mike. Just how much are you looking forward to those types of moments with him and playing with him?
Man, 100%, man. Mike's played, obviously watching offensive line, he's played all across the board. He's done a phenomenal job at each position he's played at. I think now he gets to find a home in one spot, and I look forward to being able to build that chemistry with him, and obviously getting to know him off the field is going to make our relationship better on the field. But just also, obviously picking his brain. He's a great football player. He's a smart player. He's played a lot of football, and I never leave the cap, sealed of like, hey, I know it all. I feel like I still
The wise man knows nothing, right? Right?
I feel like I have a lot to learn still in this game, and that's why I keep on coming back to play it, and because it's such a fun time to be able to come back and play football and get to do something that you love to do at a high level.
I know your availability has been such a big part of your career. I heard you mention yoga up in the. How was your training evolved? And tell me a little bit about you doing yoga. That sounds.
Oh man, I had like I said earlier, man, I had great vets when I first got in the league, man. So I had Trent Williams, and then I had a guy named Jason Hatcher, who when I was in Washington we had got from Dallas, and his locker was beside me, and you know, my rookie year I had the Liz Frank surgery, so I didn't play that much my rookie year, and he would pull me to the side during the off season and say, hey man, like I see something in you that you might not see yet. And so he would pick me up every Tuesday on the off day and take me to yoga. He would teach me how to eat right, eat clean. And I think that's where my, you know, the dedication of rededicating myself to football and learning football from another angle helped me grow as a player. And so just finding different things, right? Because, like, I mean, we can sit here and say, man, we can go in there and throw 400 pounds on the bench and do all these things, but that gets boring sometimes. You know, you want to change it up. So yoga's a little challenging, man. I tend to stay in the back of the room because I see a lot of people in there that's like way better than me. Like, but at it, but it's challenging, man. It's more than just a workout. It's a mental thing. Obviously being able to stay in that heat for a long period of time while stretching. But when you leave that thing, man, you leave refreshed, you leave renewed, and that's one thing I love about it.
We had a quarterback here who stressed pliability.
Yep.
He was big on that.
You might have heard about him.
Yeah.
Don't worry, I'll be tapping into some things too.
I would be remiss, and I've been asked to ask you, who does your glasses and what are you wearing? Where are those glasses from?
Guess where that question came from.
Let's just put it on the table. I do not wear glasses for real. These are just
that's
all
okay.
fashion look.
They look good on you.
I appreciate it, but
it's working.
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. No, I love fashion, man. I've always been into it. You know, I grew up in the church, going to church, so you know, you always say Sunday best, and then obviously a long time ago when I got in the league, you had to wear suits. So, you know, you had to wear suits every time you traveled. So that was part of just, you know, the league of getting ready on Sunday. And I think, you know, Deion Sanders says it's best, right? You look good, you play good. So obviously, hopefully I can hold that up to a high tier that he held it up to.
That 76 is going to look good on you.
Morgan, you mentioned Drake May at your press conference, and just talk about, you know, blocking for him and how excited you are to have a young quarterback like that back there.
You know, first of all, man, shout out to the ACC, man, putting out some good products, man. We don't get enough love in the ACC, so I'm gonna go ahead and say that, even though we were like the oldest rivalry against UVA versus UNC. But obviously the things he's done, man, you know, obviously it's not easy coming in as a first round quarterback and not playing right away. You have to, you know, look yourself in the mirror and humble yourself on those things. And obviously talking to him today, man, beautiful soul, man, beautiful guy, man, beautiful soul. Just what he brings to the table, his humbleness is the first thing that you notice, man. You notice from him just the humbleness that he has, and then just the gritty, right? Just the gritty of just playing the game, man. He runs around. He moves around, and obviously I played with a quarterback that probably does the best of running quarterbacks in Lamar Jackson. So obviously I have a knack for knowing where the quarterback is at, and I just look forward to just, you know, obviously learning from him, and then obviously, you know, sprinkling in some of my knowledge in there as well. And just, you know, obviously just getting the 5 offensive linemen, you know, the 5 offensive linemen that we go out there, we have to work together because, you know, the 5 offensive linemen and the quarterback, we never leave the field. We don't get water breaks. We don't get to tap our helmets and say, hey, coach, can I go tie my shoe? Right. So we got to be out there. And so it's 5 equal ones. I said this last year on a podcast. I said, man, you know, when you look at the offensive line, it's like a shoestring going through a shoe. You want to go through it. You want the shoestring to go through the sneaker as flawless as possible. And that just builds camaraderie, just building chemistry, trusting one another, accountability, getting to know each other off the field. So when you get on the field, you have no question and a doubt that this guy is ready to go to war with you.
Morgan, you mentioned you talked to Drake today.
Yep.
What was that conversation? Is he here in person or is it over the phone?
No, he was here in person, man. I saw him in the cafeteria, man, and he came up, man. He was just like, hey, man, excited to have you, man, ready to get to work, man. And obviously, man, you know, he has some big things in front of him going on. You know, he told me he's getting married in June. So I was like, congratulations, man. So he's hitting it out of the park, man. You know, I look forward to just getting to work with him, man, and picking his brain. Man, obviously he was drafted high for a reason. And obviously the talent speaks for itself. So it's obviously just getting him out there, getting comfortable, knowing that he's protected up front, and you know, it's going to be a great deal.
Well, we're getting the wrap-up sign because we know you're busy. It's been a whirlwind today. We appreciate you.
No,
coming
I
in.
appreciate you, man. Thank
We
you. This
look
won't be
forward-
the won't be the last time. It won't be the last
All
time.
right.
We'll be
Listen,
here.
you want to do a podcast? We'll give you one.
Let's do it. Let's
Do
get
a
it going.
podcast.
Let's get it going.
But we look forward to watching you this year.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it, man.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank
Yes,
you for
sir.
coming
Thanks,
in.
Morgan.
Always.
Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you guys.
Okay.
Man.
Welcome.
Morgan Moses.
There we go.
Yes, sir.
Thanks a lot.
See y'all guys.
All right. Right tackle for the New England Patriots.
There you go.
There we go.
As you can tell, he
Alex made it in so she can.
Oh, there you
out,
go.
She can find out exactly where those came
Do
from.
we all just want to pile in and go home with him and let him? I love what
I
you said,
told you,
Paul. I
I'm
mean,
looking
he's-
for him to be my life coach.
No, it's having watched the line the last couple of years. That's the kind of guy you need in that room to
Right.
I
I like how
settle things. in.
not that it's a weird little thing, but Fred just taking ownership of it was unanimous.
I
I don't recall it being unanimous. I recall being on an island.
I
but
thought he
that's
was going to
okay.
give Paul his flowers. There.
Yeah.
You were the one.
Yeah, it was.
It's unanimous. You were the favorite for everybody. No. You were Paul's favorite.
Well, first, but after we heard them all,
No, but I mean, I was, maybe slightly behind Paul, but
No,
after
everybody-
hearing him speak
everybody liked
today
the
and
signing.
yesterday, I mean, just what a guy. You can see why, as a player, you'd love to have him as a teammate, especially because he's a monster and he protects you. You know,
I know.
It's awesome.
That was what stood
It's
out to me.
huge.
I was sitting next to a good friend Bob Sosi, and him and I looked at each other and we were like, "That's a tackle. Like that's an NFL offensive
And that's
lineman.
part of what I was getting at. Like, yeah, I think the guy is ridiculously impressive. You guys all heard it. You heard it twice now because you heard him at the podium. You hear him again in person. That's all great, but if he can't play, it doesn't
Right.
matter.
Right.
This guy can play. He's
Yeah.
34
Yeah.
years old. He's been a tackle in this league for a long time, and he started a lot of games. So he brings both.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
just I'm really looking forward
and
to that.
he reminds us that he did play in front of Lamar Jackson. That's
Yeah,
not
I think
easy.
that was I think that was
Right.
great.
That's not
great
easy.
to add in.
That guy's
Yeah.
all over
I
the
have a
place.
knack for knowing where the quarterback is, and that
Yeah.
was one of the things that I think was a problem last year
Yeah.
for Drake is because he's so elusive and mobile. I think there were times that he sort of scrambled himself into trouble
Yeah.
because of it.
I had one more question for him that I didn't get to ask, but it just seems he talked a lot about players and coaches that mentored him earlier in his career, and it seems like he's taking a lot of satisfaction out of being able to do that himself now and pass that knowledge on to the next generation, which, as we've been talking about going back the last 3 hours, that's what this team needs with their young offensive line.
All right, we'll do one more call and we're going to wrap it up. One of the longest shows we've done, other than draft night. Cam's in Providence. What's up, Cam?
How's it going, guys? How's it going?
Okay.
So my question is, what do you think is our biggest strengths and weaknesses on the roster before the NFL draft?
What's our biggest weakness on the roster right now?
Left tackle.
Yeah, left tackle, I would say.
I'd
Me
say
receiver, but
yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to argue with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Offense.
Pick your
So
Yeah.
do you guys think that we have an offensive draft, or do we focus more in the middle?
I think it's going to be best players available.
I bet it's
Tell me who's gonna get drafted before us, and then we have a better idea of who we're going to draft.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know?
like even though I think offense is the biggest need, just a complete shot in the dark hypothetical, Abdul Carter is available at 4. I would take him.
Right.
Ding.
You
Like,
have
I
to,
don't see how you can pass him up.
unless Travis Hunter's also there.
I would still take Abdul
Now you have a
Carter.
debate. Really?
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
You would take Carter over Hunter?
He's the number 1 pick in the draft if I'm
Okay.
picking.
Does
Well,
everyone
but
agree
that's-
with that?
But that's me.
No, I know. Does everyone agree with that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. As
Really?
well.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not sure
Yeah,
I do.
I think
like
Carter's is a dog. Carter's a dog.
Yeah, he is. He's,
I think
Yeah.
he's the best player in
he's
the draft.
certainly the best defensive player in the draft, and I don't know. The Hunter though intrigues me.
The Hunter.
Sure.
Yeah.
He does. I mean,
Sure,
and he might ultimately end up being the choice if he
But
settles
I
in.
like
and
I
is
like
in-
your take yesterday.
No, don't- you know,
now
I
you
can't say
published
yet.
that
You can-
already.
no, not
oh,
yet.
Oh, okay.
Tomorrow.
I'm not going to
La, la,
spoil
la.
it. I won't spoil it. All right.
No, I would just say though in response
You're
to the
not gonna
question,
like it. Do
I
you know
think
about it?
No,
No.
No, you
Evan
can't
will
say
hate
it yet. You
Evan
can't
will
say
hate
it.
it.
I'm just going to tell Evan right now he's not going to like
No,
it.
Oh, no.
I already
I
teased
know
it.
Evan well enough.
I would just say though, it feels like they're going to have to draft a tackle. I would love them just to always take a flyer on a wide receiver, one that's fast, please. And I just think the running back and tight end classes are intriguing. Now,
Yeah.
re-signing Austin Hooper, I don't know for sure if you need to necessarily, but I would definitely try to tap the running back class, and that's the offensive side of the ball. Defensively, I think you
Tap
got to
that
find an
class.
edge guy. You got to find an edge guy, and after that, I think you're free to, is there a free safety that you like? Is there a developmental linebacker behind? Bentley's going to be a free agent next year. Maybe that's going to be a position in transition. Trying to get back on like what we talked about, Paul. This guy leaves. We've got a guy waiting in the wings.
Yeah, I definitely still agree with you, Deuce, at running back and tight end. Even though you seem to have 3 tight ends now on the roster, I do wonder if Jaheim Bell transitions to more of a fullback, H-back type of role under Josh McDaniels, and that would free up another traditional tight end spot there. Last couple years with McDaniels, they did carry 3 tight ends plus a fullback a couple of those years, so you're really talking about 4 guys in that room. So maybe it's that's how they kind of give that developmental tight end reps, even though they already have 3 guys in that room. But I think it's a conversation of just, for biggest need, what's more what is the biggest hole in terms of if you had to play a game tomorrow, do you feel better about having 3 or 4 decent receivers or average receivers, below average receivers versus having a below average tackle? Which one are you living with more? I just think maybe you live with the receivers more just because of Drake. I feel like Drake May can just make plays that other quarterbacks can't sometimes. So maybe you can get away with it.
All right. Well, it was a good show, a good day here at Gillette Stadium. We will be back next week with more of this, and who knows what will happen between now and then. You never know.
Stay tuned.
All right. We'll see you next Tuesday.
Thank you for downloading this podcast. Subscribe on Apple, Google Play, and everywhere else you listen. Like the show? Please rate and review us. Listener comments and ratings help keep us high in the podcast rankings so new listeners can find us. Be sure to check Patriots.com for more news and more podcasts.
The world's original.